I eventually go up to the psych ward, and that's where I have a lot of trauma.
Fuck, man.
And because I got there, and I still remember just sitting down when I first got in, and I'm in purple scrubs, and they're all calling me Barney.
They were calling you Barney?
Yeah, they were like, Barney finally got up here. Barney finally made it.
Now, was this actually being said to you, or is this something that you thought?
Yeah. No,
shit.
it was being said to me.
Motherfuckers.
And eventually, you know, I'm still kind of hiding. I still don't really know what's going on. I think that I'm going to get extracted from there, like get on a helo or something.
Right.
So I go down to where my room is, I guess. You know, it's bits and pieces. I don't know if they showed me or what, but I like hid in the shower, and all that's coming out is like this little drip of like cold water. And I'm naked in there, just laying, you know, on the floor. Eventually someone checked on me, and they're kind of like, you know, shit, what's wrong with this dude kind of thing. And one guy he was like, hey man, it'll be okay. I've been there too. It was the other veterans in there.
Yeah.
You know, there was a couple good nurses, but there were some bad ones too. And one of the biggest memories I have is just, you know, you were talking about when you were shot, thinking of your son. And that's all I was thinking of.
Yeah, man.
You know, I was sitting there on the floor thinking my life was over. And nobody helping me and kind of poking fun at me. It was eventually some other, probably a Vietnam vet, came and helped me up, talked to me. And yeah, I was in there for 10 days. And they just really messed with my head.
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dispatch. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Do us a favor. We have a goal we want to hit before the end of the year. We want to be over 100 or 1,000 subs on all platforms total. That is, you guys. We appreciate if you guys help us out hitting that goal. So hit that subscribe button, whatever platform you are watching us on. And then also I wanted to touch on is our merch is out. So hit us up on our website. Check it out. We have a pre-sale going on. You're going to get a free gift with that. Carrie and I decided that we were going to extend that for another week.
It's the season of giving.
It's the fucking season of giving, dude.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
We just want people to get the gifts. That's really it.
It's a nice little fucking shirt. So check it out. Quality, super
phenomenal,
super
quality.
Soft.
Yeah.
Super soft.
Honestly, so glad we went with this brand.
Oh, dude, agreed. Hats, shirts, we have koozies, stickers. Hit us up. We would love for you guys to rep our merch.
Where do we find it?
Oh, you can find it at beyondthedispatch.com in the merch section.
/shop.
Oh, yeah, /shop. There we go.
There you go.
All right, brother. Without further ado, we have Matt Spaid in the studio. We're very excited for this one, you guys. We have a lot of good information for you. Matt was a Marine, and then he was a captain with the fire department. It was also a roughneck. This guy has pretty much done it all. And then he has started OAF, which is a training or gym company, correct?
We do more than training
You
and
guys
gym
do everything.
stuff. Yeah.
You guys do the spiritual and physical, yeah?
Yeah, and connect guys to resources and specialists and send care packages as well.
We need more like that, brother. Well, without further ado, brother, introduce yourself.
Sure. Like you said, I'm Matt Spaid. I was a Marine with 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, Lima Company, 2006, 2010. I fought in both Iraq and Afghanistan. After that, I did a brief stint, I went into the oil field, roughneck for a year. Then I did a brief stint of contracting. Then I started going to school for firefighting and coaching, and then became a firefighter and CrossFit coach for a while. And that's basically what I've been doing for a long time. And now I quit the fire service and started Operation Antifragile.
And you've been giving back. Not like ever since.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you. And so Operation Antifragile started because it's kind of what I was just doing anyways. While I was firefighting, I was coaching as my side gig, and I had a lot of Marine buddies, also just other like firefighters or other first responders that I'd worked with or just knew. Whether they needed help mentally or physically, they would tend to like reach out to me. And I tried to help them how I could. Sometimes give them a training program, tell them about equipment, send them equipment. And that's what this has kind of turned into, where I know about a lot of different training methods. I'm also an adaptive athlete trainer. So I kind of know how to work around injuries. I've had to work around them myself. I had that nerve injury I was telling you about where my pec and arm shut off. And I had to get those muscles working again.
Right.
I know a lot of unconventional methods, I guess. I train strongman too. I'm a lightweight strongman. Some people don't realize, like in the amateur division, there's different weight classes and stuff. And I also do like stand-up paddleboarding and surfing and stuff now. So,
brother, your social media is awesome.
Thank you.
Are, first of all, in phenomenal shape. You
Thank
look
you.
fantastic, especially with the nerve injury. And like we were talking off camera, like you and I kind of share some very similarities, a lot of similarities with injuries as well. We literally talked for 30 minutes about nerve damage in the right arm and all that great stuff.
Very similar stuff. And then, and it's very frustrating when you have an injury like a nerve injury. Like I was, when it first happened and I hadn't really regained strength back, I was wanting to like hold the door open for someone. It was like these church doors that were real heavy, and like I couldn't do it, and people are looking at me kind of funny, like, why is this strong guy, and it's like, it won't work.
It doesn't work.
Like, you can't see. And the pain that I'll get sometimes, I get shocks of nerve pain. Just sometimes it's because I move different. Sometimes it's just a thought.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a sound. Sometimes it's a smell. It's almost like a weird little spidey sense.
Yeah.
And it'll like shoot through my arm and hit my finger and stuff. It's weird.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
Nerve damage. It's a gift that keeps on giving,
Yeah.
We'll deep dive into that a little bit later on in the episode. But let's kind of try to transition into your Marine career. So like, why did you want to become a Marine in the first place, brother?
I don't know. Honestly, like, people kind of joke about this stuff, but they're the best. So, that was a big part of it. I wanted, the war was going on. Iraq was starting to really ramp up. I remember seeing like Operation Phantom Fury going on, and that was right about when I was joining. And, I wanted to help. And I was like, if I'm going to go fight, I want to be with a bunch of other guys that also want to fight and are good at it.
Yeah.
I ended up going Marines, and
the stepchild of the military.
Yeah. And it really is. Like,
it really is.
Like when we arrived in Afghanistan, our Humvees, the doors either like didn't open or they didn't close. And we had like 550 cord to like rig stuff up. We're used to just adapting and overcoming is the common phrase and everything. But we make do. And I think that's what kind of like keeps us angry and keeps us combat effective,
Feel that hate, baby.
Yeah. Now that I'm older and everything, it's like, so no wonder some of these, like our senior NCOs or staff NCOs, would like do shit like that. Sometimes it's just
right.
Yeah.
But you like for Marines, from what I've understand, like you guys would scrape the bottom of the barrel, like with equipment. Like everything is like always just older compared to other branches.
You're just, I guess, used to it. That's why to me it's just what we had, and then you get out and you kind of see what other people had and stuff and everything. And it's like, fuck. Oh yeah, like especially when because I had a buddy that was Air Force.
I was just gonna bring that
up. And it was fun. No hate against. I love the Air Force. I love the PJs. I love all veterans and services and stuff. But it was funny. He went on a deployment. And he was talking about how his drinking got worse when he got back. And I was like, yeah, that happened to me too. With Afghanistan stuff. And he was like, oh well, I was like in where was he, like Curacao or someplace cool? Yeah, he was like, oh, it was different. Like
eating lobster and fucking steak and them.
Yeah. I was like, damn, I joined the wrong branch.
You guys are eating MREs. Yeah. If you could find them.
Yes. And if they do get steak and lobster, they know it's going to be a bad day or a fun day.
Yeah, they do that too. Like that's why in boot camp, you hear about like the Crucible, and then they give you the Warrior's breakfast or something and all that. And then what they don't tell you is that then when you get back from the Warrior's breakfast, they make you drink so much water that you throw it all up. And
that's so sweet of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta feel that hate,
Yeah.
Can't have a bunch of Marines with a full belly, dude.
No.
It makes them too happy.
Yeah. That's part of it. Combat ineffective then.
100%. But like, you guys get the basic of equipment, like just scraping things together, but you are also very, very efficient.
Yeah.
Combat fighting force.
Yeah.
World renowned.
And that's what, it's, As you know, some people say Marines are cocky. I say we're just confident.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like I'm not a cocky person. I just am confident. There's certainly things. There's a lot of stuff I can't do, and a lot of things I don't know. And I'll say that. I'll be like, can't do that. But,
Yeah.
But if I get an order to do something, and it's something that I think is in a little bit of my ability, I'm gonna do everything I fucking can to do it. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's kind of transition. So what are some highlights while you were in the Marines, brother?
So okay, like when I first got in, let's see. After the boot camp, you go to SOI. I was infantry. So I did
SOI
school.
is, for people that don't understand.
Yeah, School of Infantry. If you do an other than infantry job, you go through MCT, which is like Marine combat training.
And you're a pogue.
Yeah, you're a pogue. Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha,
personnel other than grunt, so that other people know. But I went through SOI, and then recon came and talked to us. I was like, okay, I'll go recon. I was in the recon training platoon for 6 months because the basic recon course was backed up. I ended up you're only supposed to be there for like maybe a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was backed up. So I was basically just getting slayed to death. And then
beat the shit out of.
Yeah, and then they eventually started teaching us some stuff though, because we were there for a while. I was like, all right, let's try to kind of teach them some tactics and stuff. So we did some land nav and other stuff.
Oh, very nice.
But I had to get surgery on my left testicle and and so I went to the grunts and ended up going to 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. And
Or like Lance Armstrong over here, one nut? Or do we
no,
say
I
that?
still got, yeah.
Hell yeah,
But
bro.
there's a lot of people that know about my nuts. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this on here. We might have to edit this, but like everybody knows about them.
You have some famous nuts, bro.
I do. Even firefighting and stuff. It's just, I had to get surgery on it. And yeah, basically because I have big balls. That's basically.
Let's fucking go, bro.
Yeah. But it started hurting really bad.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I thought I had cancer or something. Yeah. But anyways, I got surgery and went to 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. They were one of the most combat deployed units in the War on Terror.
Okay.
So I had a lot of great mentors too. So when I got there, I got married. When I got to 3-4 as well, I'd been dating my wife, who I'm still married to, for a year. And we got married, and when I got back, I was with a weapons company. I was a team leader right off the bat, which was weird. And I was also like, why am I in weapons company? I'm an 0311.
Right.
But they started this kind of dismount platoon. And that platoon is really like we stayed close. It's really weird. They ended up disbanding the platoon. Some of us went to Lima Company, where I went. Some guys went to Kilo, India, weapons, wherever. But we all stayed real close. And went to Iraq. When I went to Iraq, the war was kind of winding down. It was more of a hearts and minds mission.
Okay.
I bounced around the Al Anbar province. It was cool at first. Like we had a little traffic control checkpoint that just our squad was at. So that was pretty fun and
absolutely
cool and whatnot, when you're on your own and stuff. And we did some boat ops on the Euphrates and stuff, some island sweeping things.
That's pretty cool.
Found a little mortar cache by stepping on it. Thankfully, it wasn't an IED.
Dude, right?
But, yeah, because we were walking and I had a little brush pile of leaves and just heard it kind of a little metal tink. And I was kind of like, oh, shit. And just stepped off easily. And then I was like, hey, Sarin, I think I found something. We found some mortars and that was just cool to do, too, just to be on the Euphrates and shit and Zodiacs and everything. Like,
I mean, that's what you guys train for.
Yeah, it was. The training for it was a blast because we actually went to the Haditha Dam.
Yeah,
and we did the whole like flipping the Zodiacs, and so it was like getting to go swimming in Iraq and stuff, and
it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Not many people can say they've been in like the rivers of Babylon, and
right?
So it's like that's cool.
Super fucking cool.
So we got back from Iraq, and we were slotted for Afghanistan. And so basically, like that's part of why I ended up getting out too, was just like we were training nonstop.
Yeah,
I got back. We went through like all kinds of training, and then Afghanistan. We were kind of part of the surge with the Obama presidency. 2009, 2010, and I was in Nowzad, Afghanistan. It's the Helmand province. Essentially, Nowzad was like a ghost town.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Taliban used it as their training facility almost.
Okay.
So we basically had like coalition forces had their side, Taliban had theirs. There was like a wadi that ran through, and there was like an IED belt. There were basically just IEDs everywhere. There were still like old bombs from the Russians and everything too. When we got there, we were told that basically like you needed to have an engineer with a metal detector, and we walked like Ranger file, and it was like if you stepped out of there, it was like you hit an IED.
At least you had a metal detector. We had a Marine on. He said they used a stick.
Yeah, I mean we had that too. You had a stick, you throw it, and e-tool stuff too. Yeah, we had, and that was like kind of the beginning of the deployment, and so when we arrived too, we were first on a ANP hill.
Okay.
And that's when coalition forces first got there. I'm pretty sure it was the Brits. All they had was this hill in Nowzad, and then ended up pushing out to where they got a little bit more of the city, and then there was like the wadi that basically divided it. When my platoon first got there, we were on ANP Hill. That's when I was the Humvees, the doors that didn't open, didn't close, and that unfortunately, what I think honestly got us to where we got some better equipment was when my buddy Stanley was killed. And our snipers hit an IED. He went out on the QRF, hit the secondary IED, and was killed. And that it was pretty early on in the deployment too. We had gotten there in October, and it wasn't even a month in basically. And so that hit everyone hard. And Stanley, the reason why I brought up some of my weapons company stuff was he was in my team when I first got to weapons company. And we all stayed real close. His good friend Rogers, I stayed close with as well. And so just after that, everyone was changed.
I was going to say, right off the rip too.
Yeah. And so we hit the Taliban very hard. And then we did Operation Cobra Zanger. That was where we essentially launched a big offensive, had all kinds of other like tanks, helos, just all kinds of support. Pushed them out, took over some land, and kind of established that area. Again, the biggest threat was IEDs, and found a shitload of them.
Oh, I bet.
And then before I knew it, the deployment was over, and it was time to get out. Like I unfortunately too, they kind of missed me. I was going through squad leaders course when they were checking to see like who got out early after the deployment, because they're supposed to like extend your contract and stuff to make sure you're good. Well, they missed me with that. So basically I got back from the deployment and then
done
civilian. Yeah. So it was a difficult transition.
Oh, absolutely, man. Before we get to that, so like how was your day to day? So like in Iraq, it sounded like it was kind of like more of like a unwinding. And hearts and minds, and then Afghanistan sounded like you guys hit it fucking hard.
It was definitely, I mean, Iraq was we were still doing a lot, but just the threat wasn't really as bad. At least I don't think. It's hard to really know sometimes, because sometimes looking back, you're kind of like, like that might have been, like I know at our traffic control point when we were leaving, me and my buddy Ostrike, we were on post, we heard a cell phone ringing. And we were on this like kind of hill where there was a railroad. And we'd have the post at the top, and our little base was down here. And there was all these rocks, and we just heard a phone ringing, and it was like, that's weird, you know?
Yeah.
And we saw like a hole cut in the wire fence too. So we ended up leaving like not long after that. But there's definitely, sometimes you look back and you kind of wonder like, how close did we really get to, death or something? And
probably fucking close.
Probably especially, and then Afghanistan especially too. I don't know. That's why it's like I have a lot of rabbit holes I could go down with stuff, but we'll end up being here for like 10 hours or some shit. So
I wouldn't mind, but I know people don't want to listen to a 5-hour podcast.
Probably not. Yeah, but we can go back. I'll end up telling some stories probably with some of the Afghan stuff too, where I can go into some of it. If you want for some of it.
For sure.
Because I know one particular mission that affected me a lot with my sleep. So part of what helped me out a lot, I'll kind of go back a little bit before I go into this, is that I had gotten help for my mental health before I joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I had some childhood trauma. I was molested as a child. That ended up stemming into more issues. I went to rehab as a teenager, and I'm so grateful for that now, because I dove into recovery. I didn't know what was going, like I didn't want to drink. And or anything, but I just I felt this pain inside me, didn't really know what was going on. And so I ended up going to rehab. I wanted to. I asked my parents, like, I need help.
Right.
And so I dove into it, got all these tools. And when I became a civilian, I recognized like alarms were going off. And I was like, all right, I need to get help. So quit drinking, started seeing a private counselor, and she started doing a EMDR therapy with me, and also working on some other stuff to like kind of go back, because I was having these recurring nightmares where I would see like a dark shadowy figure. I'd get sleep paralysis where like I couldn't move until I like yelled and, was like coming out all aggressively and shit.
Was this a combination of your childhood trauma and then also the things that you experienced?
Now that's probably now, and they also say a lot of combat veterans that have more of these issues also have childhood trauma.
Okay.
And so when I was, so I recognized it, and then we did our therapy, and it stemmed back with my nightmares. She kind of worked her way back until I would basically get to where we did this covert OP or observation post, where I took my team, and looking back, I'm like, man, like this was a bad idea. Like we could have gotten, it could have been really bad. But basically it was kind of towards the end of the deployment. But we were down in a spot where we called the Greens, where we all of a sudden saw like a hole that was like some IED activity kind of stuff. And we were like, all right, this is weird. Like they haven't really been doing anything for a while. So we decided, all right, let's check this spot out, do an OP. So I had one team set up like a traffic control point while another team went off with me, and we set up an OP, and then they left eventually to make it look like we left. And when we were walking
OP
up,
as an observation point?
post. Yeah.
A post, sorry, go ahead.
And then when we were walking past that hole, so the Taliban would set up IEDs in stages,
Right.
So, they're not idiots of like, all right, let's go set up this bomb. Like, so there was a hole, and then when we came back to do this OP, there was a yellow jug in it. So we're like, okay, grab the jug. Went back to the OP, and then there was a dude walking by, looked at the hole, kind of did one of those kind of like, okay, and then kept walking. And after that, there was all of a sudden where normally there was nobody, there was a shitload of guys on mopeds, all driving. So it was like, okay, they're looking for us. They know something's up. And there was a dude, like I was on a little parapet wall, and like there was a guy like right here. Like I could have like grabbed him.
No,
but we
shit.
were just like staying quiet, hidden. And sometimes I wonder, like maybe they knew that, but Taliban, they were smart. They knew to like draw us out, kind of thing.
Right.
They knew they wouldn't win like toe to toe with us, so they did stuff like this. And stemming back from that, so I had been. I hate how I bounce around sometimes. I'm sorry.
You're good, brother.
I had been SOG or Sergeant of the Guard the night before this, so that's where you rove the posts and everything. I was in charge of the posts. I'd been up all night. I usually did it at night because I didn't mind.
Right.
And that it's funny looking back because basically our patrol schedule was like my fire schedule of 24 on, 48 off. We did 24 hours of post, 48 hours of patrols. And so I had been up for all night, and then we went and did this covert OP, and it was like 2 a.m, and my buddy Panic was the radio operator. And before all this, we had also had some 3rd Recon guys had gotten killed.
Okay.
And so, we're just being watchful at night as you're supposed to be and whatnot. And my buddy told me, hey, get a little bit of sleep. You've been up for forever. I fell asleep. When I woke up, he was asleep, did a radio check. My guys on the roof didn't answer. I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
And I go up, they had just fallen asleep. It was okay. But that was something that made it to where my mind was like, I can't fall asleep.
Right.
And then later on in that OP as well, it was the second night, I think if I'm remembering right, there we saw a dude digging. It was nighttime, flashlight, it's like, okay. And then
odd.
We were supposed to say covert, but we're Marines and we kind of wanted to play. So we're like, all right, let's go check this out. And as we're patrolling out, I'm pretty sure I left the RO with someone else. I don't think I would have left him alone, but I honestly can't remember.
Right.
But he said he heard footsteps, and he was like, hey, y'all need to get back. And he was like, I hear more footsteps, and they're getting closer. And I eventually decided, like, okay, hey, everyone go, like, turn on your surefires. We turned on our surefires, got kind of louder, went overt, and then they went away. And so it's like, I think that, they were trying to draw us out and
for sure,
maybe ambush and whatnot. And then we were very far away from support. So it worked out.
Right.
We were okay. We prevented an IED, but but that's where my mind would go back to with these nightmares a lot of
Right.
times, and why I couldn't sleep. And it's just been made so much worse from firefighting. Like when I lay down at night, it's gotten better since the brain clinic, but like my wife was like, my eyes won't shut. They'll sit there kind of and fluttering.
Yeah.
And like before I went to the brain clinic, the Semper Fi Fund sent me a neurofeedback device.
Okay.
Real cool device. Put it on your head. It reads like your brain waves, and you do these different like games essentially with it. It's like where it reads your brain waves for like focus and calm and other stuff. Very cool thing.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see and get this feedback from them. So basically one of the games is like, it's like this hot air balloon, and you don't touch anything. It's all, you got to breathe and just be calm and kind of focus. And when you do everything right, the circles will like align and the hot air balloon will rise and stuff. So you're supposed to just sit there and make it rise. And it can be very frustrating because you're sitting there like, go up, and it's not doing anything. And the circles are different colors. And mine that I always had a hard time with was this orange one on the bottom. And I asked them, like, why is that one? And they're like, oh, that's the one usually with sleep deprivation. And it's like, makes sense. Like, and so, but you can train it, you know, and then you get better at it. Yeah. So I don't know where exactly I was going with that.
No, that's great. I mean, I kind of transitioned into like maybe what kind of pushed you to start OAF.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we'll touch on here in a second, but let's, I want to touch on really quick before we take a break is your transition out of the military.
Right.
How was that for you mentally? Because I know that you, like when I transitioned out, which different branches, they sent it to this course and you have to take the, resume.
Taps and SEPs.
Yes, taps. Yeah. And a bullshit fucking class.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bullshit.
exactly. That's what I try to tell people too, is like when you get, like, we got back from a deployment, we did some sort of little survey for like, if you've been, what happened to you. No, but it's like, we're ready to go on leave.
Right.
We don't, and a lot of times guys also, some guys that got blown up, they don't remember. Right. They got a brain injury.
Right.
Like, and so it's not a good eval that they do when you get back.
And you guys don't want to do that. You don't want to fill out paperwork when you fucking first get back.
And we went through taps and SEPs, and they tell you do a resume. It's something, but it's not much.
Not much at all.
And nobody really helps you at all with figuring out your resources, getting with the VA, all that stuff.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah. And you don't know how to navigate that system at all. And then imagine being someone with a brain injury trying to navigate that system.
You're not.
But then all they're doing is saying, "Oh, it's just PTSD. He's got PTSD," and it's like, no, treat his brain injury, and then
maybe has a TBI. You
yeah,
dumb fucks.
they've been blown up.
Yeah,
and even not then. Like that's the other kind of misconception with TBIs, or for people that don't know traumatic brain injuries. It doesn't have to, everyone tends to think it's something that's just like very obvious, and it doesn't have to necessarily be that. And with a lot of the veterans in this war are dealing with chronic blast exposure stuff.
Right.
Some of it's from just the training that we did, because we're I have no idea how many blasts I've been next to. A stupid amount, know? And some of it training, some of it at war. And that will wear down the myelin sheath, and you can't see all of the brain injury stuff on imaging too, is the other problem. Some of it you have to do with functional tests.
Right.
So a lot of these guys are getting out. They're getting misdiagnosed with things. They're not getting treated for their brain health. They're only getting treated for the mental health.
Right.
And in my case, that was a misdiagnosis and made me so much worse.
So much worse.
And that's what's leading to a lot of these problems.
Oh, brother. I couldn't imagine. How was your mental health when you got back?
Hard to say, because at first you're just like, oh, I'm fine.
Right.
And that was definitely like I was like, nah, no, but like my wife could see it. So the Iraq deployment, she says, Iraq, everyone came back, not that changed, a little changed.
Right.
Afghanistan, everybody came back different. And again, so yeah, when I first got out too, I had basically a medical problem where I was driving back to Oklahoma, and I don't know what the hell happened. My leg swole up huge. I think I had a blood clot, knowing what I know now.
Shit, yeah.
But it swole up, was huge, like as big as my thigh, like my calf was. And my first experience with the VA was on July 4th, because after it had been a while, I was like, all right, I guess I better go get this thing checked out. Like I should have gone earlier, but
right.
Obviously I'm still here, so it worked out.
Thank God.
But so I'm at the ER at the VA July 4th. There's like one other person in the waiting room. I don't know how many hours go by. eventually I go back to the second waiting room, as I like to call it. And then I eventually see like the doctor leaving with his lunch too. And I'm like, and they're, oh, we don't know what's going on. Like, and so it's like, that was my first experience of just like, we don't know, like, welcome to the VA.
Welcome to the VA.
Yeah. So it got better somehow. And I went to other private places too. They didn't know. So
No shit.
I don't know. I bet it was a blood clot, but
Dude, that's
I don't know.
fucking nuts.
But anyway, sorry. You asked me
you're good,
how my
brother.
mental health was. And, you know, again, so because I had these tools in place already from like going to rehab, I was a very spiritual person. I've always done like meditation and stuff. So I kind of was still taking care of myself in some ways. But it definitely started to deteriorate very quickly, especially with the nightmares and then not sleeping. And, you know, and then you lose that brotherhood.
Yeah.
That was a bit, especially because I was the kind of oddball. Like I said, like I was a recon drop. And so I came there kind of by myself. And so we got back and it was like, poof, I was out.
Yeah.
And it was weird. You're very much on your own. I was denied unemployment because that was something they told us in the class of like, hey, apply for unemployment. It'll help you while you search for a job. I was denied it for some reason. You know, I had friends. I knew someone that was just working the system. She was like, oh, I just go and I say I apply to these jobs and they give me money. And it was like, so she can get unemployment.
Combat they can't. Yeah, that's
and it worked out. You know, I ended up getting a job roughnecking and stuff, but yeah, it was very difficult. Roughnecking was a good job to transition to, though.
Yeah.
Just because you know, it's like I was in Afghanistan and then poof, a civilian kind of thing. It's just a weird transition. And at least with roughnecking, you know, I had a small team. Again, essentially, I always had something in my hands that reminded me of my rifle because that was a constant thing still of just like, where's my rifle? Like any Marine
that's your
understands.
lifeline,
Yeah, it's like, especially just coming back from a deployment where it's always with you. I would always get these like, where's my rifle feelings. So,
what was that time frame between you getting out and then also going to roughnecking?
About a month. Maybe,
so
maybe
you
2
had
months.
zero time to kind of decompress.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. It was like got out and then bam.
I need to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
do you have any kids at the time or no?
Not
just you and your
time.
wife.
No,
Gotcha.
just me and my wife. And yeah, so but that's when, you know, and she of course noticed it as well with the recurring nightmares. Then I was constantly just like thinking about setting up like fighting positions, but like I couldn't stop analyzing fields of fire,
high alert,
all that stuff. I couldn't shut down.
Yeah.
And that's now, again, knowing what I know, my nervous system was jacked up. I couldn't down regulate. I was stuck in fight or flight. If I wasn't in fight or flight, then I was in a more like dorsal vagal, which is where you're like numb. And yeah, and then
which is also a great place to be too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, not feeling fucking anything.
Yeah. It's great. Just don't feel anything.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Before we go any deeper, let's take a quick break and then we'll transition back into roughnecking, which roughnecking, you're talking about the oil rigs for people that don't know what roughnecking is. Right. All right, cool. We'll be right back. Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Murphy Carter Law. This one I'm proud to announce. This is a great partnership with us. They are a phenomenal law firm. I've known Rick for a very long time. He's a fantastic guy. Heart of gold. He supports organizations like Project Fire Buddies who give back to kids with terminal illness. This guy cares. He is a staunch advocate for first responders. He's just a blue-collar guy. He really is. He was a union construction worker at one point, and now he's just a shark in the courtroom. And that's just a fact. You're not going to go wrong by going with Murphy Carter Law. I promise you that. They will fight for you like they fight for their own family, like they fight for their mother, like they fight for their father, their brother, or their sister. That's just who they are. And they advocate for you guys. I promise they will fight for you guys tooth and nail. That's what they're all about. To make you guys whole again, or to get you close to that as possible, and by any means necessary. They've won major cases already. I have some notes over here. They have $11.5 million truck accident case. They have a $9.5 million medical malpractice case and another $7.1 million delivery truck accident. They handle their business. If you're looking for a lawyer, if you've been in a situation like Carrie and I have, Murphy Carter Law, check them out. Go to murphycarterlaw.com. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Tell them that Beyond the Dispatch sent you. All right. Back into roughnecking?
Yeah, and I won't go into roughnecking too much, really. I mean, it was a good job, but
Is it like Landman?
I haven't seen Landman.
Okay,
So
I
I
only
keep
seen,
hearing
like, a
about
few
it, but
episodes.
it's probably not like Landman. Just like watching like military movies and firefighter stuff. It's
Right.
like, yeah, it's not really like Armageddon. That's what people. That's the roughnecking movie, and it's like, no, it's not like that.
Get the fuck out. You didn't go up into space?
They didn't call me up.
Cancel it.
Yeah,
Cancel it. We're done here.
yeah.
I love that. That
Come
comes
and get
up.
Papa Bear. That's the best line.
Oh, what's the?
A roughneck that was a Marine. I mean, that's fucking
Well,
perfect.
they loved me when I got, especially because again, I had just gotten back from a deployment, so I was used to like not showering, all kinds. So it's like I can shower at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
I'd come back. They used to always joke that I would like go back with like thousands of dollars of oil all over because I'd have oil based mud just all because they'd see something, I'd be like, oh, get in there and get it. Like they'd be like, all right, like. But then I eventually learned that when you get oil-based mud all over you, it makes it way harder to work. You get stuff everywhere. Then you have to clean it because that's when you're drilling and when you're a floor hand, you're cleaning or helping with stuff. And it's people, again, like they don't know how difficult that job is.
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for roughnecks. You know, people are real controversial with oil field stuff, but it's like, you know what? Like somebody's got to go do that job.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's a
And
hard fucking job,
It's
dude.
especially in the wintertime. Like we had -20 wind chill one time out in the Texas Panhandle, and we could not keep hands. That was the other thing. Like everybody, like we were shorthanded almost all the time.
Oh, I bet.
So that's another thing I was just kind of used to from the Marines is being shorthanded. Parts of it were fun. Like if you've never seen someone like tripping pipe, so that's when you come in or out of the hole.
Yeah.
With all the stands and. I think it's a lot different now. I was talking to one of my roughnecking buddies a while back, and he said it's pretty much all like hydraulic and very safe now.
Oh, okay. Because before you guys were like literally on the pipe twisting and pulling.
Yeah. Now we had the ST80, which is like a hydraulic tool, but we still also had tongs.
Yeah.
And that's like you see the roughnecks with the tongs, they sling them on there. And and it's funny, like my wife, I wish she could have seen, because she was just, I don't know what she was picturing in her head that I was doing, but it was not roughnecking at all. Like, but
like the old school wells. Or
that's what
something.
she was picturing. She was picturing that and just mud getting all over me, I guess. And it was like, no.
Probably because you came home covered in fucking
yeah,
mud.
exactly. But it's like, no, it's the big rigs and like I worked the floors, I worked motors, I got to work the derrick and everything.
That's awesome.
The derrick, that's a whole other, can't be scared of heights. You got like a little rope belt on.
How high up are you?
The stands of drill pipe are like 90 feet. And then
With a little
up to
rope
get there, there's
around your waist.
probably another 90 feet just to get up there. So you're like 200-300, somewhere in there, I guess. I could be wrong, but I
With
think,
a little rope around your waist.
well, you also have a backup. So,
Okay,
but there's a good. So I had my buddy Paco. His rope broke one time. I was going to go
Dude.
and I was going to go shut off the water well, and I heard this like clang. We were tripping pipe, and his belt broke. So you have to. They have these little elevator clamps. So it grabs the pipe, brings it up, and then there's someone down the floor kind of guiding where it stands, and they swing it out to you. When you're the derrick hand, you lean out against your belt, you throw a rope around it, and then you unlatch the elevators as it's coming down. You pull the rope in, or not the rope, the pipe in, put it in the slot. Very taxing job, and especially when you're up there for 12 hours. But yeah, my buddy, his belt broke, and thankfully he had his backup on because it caught him, but he got all tore up by the drill line. But he
Lived.
Oh yeah, he went and smoked a cigarette, went back up there. I was like, I'll go up there for you, dude. And he was like, no, he's a good dude. He was a volunteer firefighter. So
No shit. You got that camaraderie from like
with roughnecking,
which is awesome, and you probably needed that, man.
Yes, that's why there's actually a program that troops to roughnecks. They came in during the TAPS and SEP thing. They taught. It wasn't a program I went through,
Right.
But it kind of my dad was a geologist, and it's kind of made me think like, okay, maybe I'll roughneck when I get out. And it was, again, good job to transition to. I had a good crew. Pay was great, especially when coming from the Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah.
And then I get
Making
7
pennies.
days off. I was like, this is great.
7 days off.
And like I was like, wow, like people say please in the civilian world. They like my driller would be like, hey, or like, they'd always be like, hey, can you do me a favor? And I'd be like, woo. Well, of course.
You're not knife handing me.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? Like, yeah. So it it was weird. It was a strange transition.
Never been talked to
Still.
like that before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow.
I actually
nice.
prefer when you talk dirty to me.
Yeah, yeah. I respond better to that stuff. That's why, like when I work out and I train, if someone yells at me, then it's like,
Oh, let's go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it helps.
100%.
But yeah, I eventually kind of got to where yeah, there was camaraderie, but then again, people started working up.
Yeah.
So the crews weren't the same. Like one of our assistant drillers, he got promoted. You know, everyone was kind of working up, and I was kind of like, man, I don't want to end up kind of being stuck in the oil field. And then, so I wanted to go firefighting.
Yeah.
But I had bought a house by then, and so I was like, GI Bill kind of helps, but doesn't help that much.
Right.
So, and I had some buddies that had done contracting, and so I was like, maybe I'll contract, and I did that for a little bit. It was when the Army pulled out of Iraq. That's why, honestly, like the government basically pulled a little fast one on people because everyone was like, "Yay, we're out of Iraq," and what they really did was hire more contractors. And yeah,
Right. So your father-in-law was not Bruce Willis.
huh?
Your father-in-law was not Bruce.
No, he was not Bruce Willis. No, yeah,
Cool.
that would be cool. Yeah,
It would be cool.
yeah.
So you left roughnecking. So how long were you in roughnecking before you transitioned to contracting?
I did a year roughnecking.
Okay.
And then started contracting. I just did the training with Triple Canopy. I didn't deploy with them.
Okay.
So completed the training, and that in itself is a whole other, or there's a lot of stuff that goes into all of that.
Really?
And just a lot of shooting. The driver training is fun as hell.
Oh, I bet, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool experience. But again, I think it's more of like a single man's game too. Like a part of why I got out of the Marines was to start a family, and so I was kind of like,
What
I
am I
don't
doing?
know. But anyway, so they quit giving out work visas in Iraq. So the guys that were there were stuck there. They kept me on retainer, and this was a time that I was really like I think I was mentioning it earlier. I really got to discover myself.
Okay.
Because it gave me time. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of pay. I'm just kind of waiting to deploy. So I joined a CrossFit gym. I started going to school for firefighting after a little while because I was like, whatever. And while I was going to private counseling, my counselor suggested to find religion. You know, I'd always been a very spiritual person, but I wasn't religious. I was raised Catholic. It just didn't jive with me. Nothing wrong with Catholics, but and so I did this little survey online that you told me about. I can't remember. It's a great link. I'd like to tell more people about it. Maybe I'll look it up and share it with y'all because I think it's
and
helped a
I'll
lot
put
of
it up on the
people.
screen. Yeah.
But yeah, I put in some stuff, and basically Buddhism came up for me.
Okay.
And there was a Buddhist temple actually in my neighborhood in Oklahoma City. And so again, kind of like a God thing, I think. So I discovered Buddhism, and it kind of made sense for me because I'd always been mindfulness.
Right. So Buddhism and Zen is kind of like the same.
There's
or
Zen
similar.
Buddhism. There's different sects of Buddhism.
Right.
That's why a lot of people just don't really know much about it. Some people get confused with like a lot of other religions.
Right.
And,
Or scared because they brought up a certain way with a certain religion, and then it's like faux pas to transition.
And a lot of people don't understand that, like, a lot of people practice Buddhist principles without even realizing it.
Until you look into it.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, they're like, yeah, that came from Buddhism. And there's a good talk from, I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Buddhist monk.
Okay.
He's talking about cigarette smokers. And he's like, what they're doing is breathing. It helps with the stress there. Like I'm an ex-smoker, and then I was like, you do kind of just let out that longer exhale. Now, yeah, obviously there's other things that go into it, but
which
is
is
kind of
the breathing techniques and all that stuff.
And that's what I really want to emphasize too. Well, I know we'll get into breathwork stuff more later, but the 1-to-2 ratio for the inhale and exhale, that's the biggest difference maker for getting more into like a parasympathetic state.
Okay.
But you got to make sure you're also engaging the diaphragm and stuff. But
because that's huge, right? Because that's the another nervous system.
Mechanics.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing proper breathing mechanics, I compare it just like with the squat. It's like if you want to get stronger with the squat, but you're doing shit form, same thing with your breath work. But even then with the breath, then you're just not stimulating the vagus nerve when you don't engage the diaphragm.
Right.
So yeah.
And I notice a difference too, like when I meditate and if I'm using my belly to breathe and doing belly breathing, and like you said, the structured breathing techniques, it does calm you the fuck down.
It relieves pressure too. It helps with your blood pressure. There's basically a baroreceptor in your heart too. So when you do this proper breathing, you expand the rib cage. It takes pressure off the heart, makes it where your blood pressure is lowered, And when you're spending longer time exhaling, that's more time for your heart rate to slow down. There's
And controlling your breathing.
There's a lot of stuff. So it's all connected. And that's why I know like the SEALs kind of popularized box breathing. And it's like, man, box breathing's been around for a long time. There's all kinds of different breath works out there. But that's, again, the biggest thing. And I'd do it firefighting. I would do a tones drop and then, okay.
Yeah.
Good. You can sit there and think a lot better.
Yeah.
I would hum when I'd be on air. To both help extend my exhale and also engage that vagus nerve as well. Stay calm.
Really?
So you can
Because the vibration, right? It does,
Mm-hmm.
that does something for your nervous system as well.
Yep. Yeah. You have a lot of just, I guess, receptors is the word to use in the throat.
Yeah.
And
That's like when people are doing meditation, you hear the hum. Yeah.
Oh, that was nice.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Do you want to do Cry in the Garage?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I discovered Buddhism, and again, so that time of waiting was great for me because that's when I started doing EMDR therapy with my therapist too. That's when we dove into all the stuff going back to the OP, and then also dove back to my childhood stuff, and it was like, okay, when you can get to the root cause of a lot of your problems, things get better.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing that a lot of people tend to ignore. They don't want, and I get it's hard to go through it, and sometimes
Absolutely.
and that's why you need assistance.
Yes.
With it.
Because recognizing the issue is massive, right? So it's like, oh, I do this because of this. And then once you become cognizant of that, once it happens again, you're more likely to pick up on it, right? And like just things from your childhood, things from war, like it just...
we're really not that... I like to use the analogy of a car, basically, and it's like sometimes you get these little problems, you can fix them yourself, no big deal. Sometimes that check engine light comes on, I know what to do to fix it. But sometimes you go to fix it and you just do a so-so job, and then that leads to something else breaking down, and then this happens, and then before you know it, your whole car is on fire on the highway. So going and getting that daily maintenance, just how I think we were talking earlier about, you get better, but then if you stop doing that stuff, guess what? Stuff pops up. You need to get your oil changed. You need to check in with yourself. You need to do these things.
You start to revert back.
Which is kind of where Operation Antifragile kind of comes in and everything.
Well, before we get to that, let's transition into your fire career, because like there's so much good shit there. And I remember before we started recording, we were talking about, I was like, I started doing a shit ton of meditation, and then I kind of started to slip away from it, and then I can start to see myself regress. And you go back, you slip back into that numb state where you don't feel anything, and you're just on autopilot.
Nope. And a lot of that has to do with nervous system being out of balance.
Right.
And when you stop and do that meditation, it also does a lot of things for the brain. You get more blood flow in the prefrontal cortex. But I like to use the analogy of like a balance board with your nervous system.
Yeah.
People tend to think of on-off switch, and it's not like that. It's really more like you're constantly switching into states. And so if you end up staying more on this side, then just like if you're on a balance board and you're balanced here, this side's going to fatigue and you're going to have
because
problems.
little things pop up, right? That start to flare up your nervous system or activate it. And then if you don't do the proper techniques, you start
Get it
to
back.
You start to tilt. Right? So let's all right. So you were a contractor, and then you were in school to become a firefighter. So let's move into firefighting, brother. I mean, we haven't had a firefighter in the show in a while, so Carrie's super fucking giddy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
So let's talk recliner talk.
Yeah.
Does this feel?
well,
Does this feel? Is this the
No,
chair feel
we
a little
did
bit?
not at all have comfy chairs where I was.
No?
No. Our chairs were made by inmates, like literally. So
So you were a real firefighter.
I guess so, yeah.
That's not a real firefighter.
Do you guys have comfy recliners?
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Actually, no. They were to be entirely honest, they were horrible.
Were they really?
Oh god, they were so bad.
A lot of times they end up, and that's another reason why a lot of guys have back problems and stuff is the sitting. But anyways, you're trying to get me to talk about my fire stuff, and I.
No, that was my fault. I got you off track.
Where were we?
So you went to school and then you transitioned to firefighter.
While I was going to, I started going to school while I was still on that retainer, waiting, because I was like, I might as well start, and then they called me up. They had to end the retainer. It had been like 6 or 7 months at this point, and they said like, we'll be able to send you soon, I think, but we got to end the retainer. So I went back to roughnecking real brief. I did like a month because I was like, maybe I'll do this. But then while I was there, I was just like, one thing, different crew.
Yeah.
And I was also already just like, man, I left this already to do something else. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to dive headfirst into school. I started coaching, and then started applying to fire departments, trying to see what I could do. Eventually got hired by a small combination department in Oklahoma. And I couldn't have been happier. The pay was shit. I started at like $9.50 an hour there, which was pretty miserable. And that's what, there's a lot of misconceptions too, in which that department in particular would just need. Most departments are better than that, at least.
Right.
But, a lot of people think firefighters are getting all this money these days, and it's like, no. Usually, if you see someone with like some money, it's their side gig that's helping them out. Like,
Right.
But
Up here in the Midwest, Chicago and Illinois, like firefighters, they get paid a decent buck.
yeah,
Well, there's such a spread.
Yeah.
Such a spread.
it still very much depends. Yeah,
I mean, you can get anywhere from a job where you're making 120 after 5 years, or you're making 44,000 after 5 years. So
Yeah,
there's a very wide spread.
It really depends on where you're. And this particular department, small combination, pretty high call volume for its size and just its size in general. The square mileage, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we were busy.
Yeah.
For having, and when I started, it was me, one other full-time firefighter, and the chief. So, and we worked like admin hours, 7 to 4. And so, and I would usually coach either before or after my shifts too, sometimes both. So my days were like not like typical fire shifts. It was Monday through Friday coaching, and then sometimes getting called in for stuff as well with the fire department. You know, I lived about 45 minutes to an hour away. But again, like I couldn't have been happier. I was for some people, it's real easy to get in the fire service. For
Right.
me, I had a very difficult time for some reason.
Right.
I don't know why. You know, I was a pretty well qualified candidate and stuff, but you know, sometimes it's just who you know and everything. There's a lot of politics involved.
Oh yeah, always.
But again, couldn't have been happier. I really liked it. We got to have a good balance of like grass fires and stuff too. But so I had gotten help and everything, and I was still doing some things, mainly like my physical training. But I had definitely gotten to where I had kind of drifted away from doing more of my mindfulness stuff. I'd do it on occasion, but I wasn't very regimented with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing a whole lot for that department. We started a fundraiser. We were trying to get another station built, trying to get more staffing. I was raising awareness for that. Started an academy for the volunteers.
Very cool.
I'd done a lot of stuff. I brought like gym equipment up there. I was like kind of the unofficial trainer and everything. Or I was the training officer there. And eventually I was promoted to lieutenant. And then we had an incident where one of our police officers was involved in a wreck. And this was a big like crisis point for me. We'd added on another firefighter. So I had a rookie firefighter. He came from the ambulance. Real good guy. Very glad that I had him there too, because he was just well qualified in like medical stuff. He was really into it. He was still kind of new though. But anyways, the call actually came in before our shift started. I tended to get there early and stuff. And so did this other guy. The chief there was not, and I literally asked him the day before if he was still coming in at 7. The female firefighter we worked with, she was off. She was pregnant, and so it was just me, the rookie, and then sometimes the chief coming in. So I was making sure he was still coming in. He's like, yeah, I'll still be there at 7. So the call came in at like 6:53, and I kept my, like they had where you had your radio, like kept it with you.
Mm-hmm.
I had it in my gym bag, and I forgot it. Like we went out for the call. They gave us the wrong address. We ended up like figuring out where to go though. And I originally thought when it got called in, it was this guy, you know, he hang out at the fire station a lot, friends with him. He actually reminded me a lot of one of my squad leaders in Iraq. And I thought he had like called in the wreck at first, you know, like, hey, got in a wreck, you know.
Right.
You know. Well, we got there, it was a garbage truck had T-boned him, and they were in the side of the road in the mud. He had he was like gargling, respirations, and sorry.
No, you're good, brother. Take your time.
Busted open the window. Ooh, sorry.
Take your time, brother.
But yeah, we
We
started
could
treating
take a
him.
break too if you need it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind crying and stuff. It's okay. You know, it's real. It's
what happened,
and
right?
I still have a lot of trauma in me from this because I just got a lot of traumas. I guess it's hard to work through all of them. But anyways, so we started working though. The React, which was the ambulance service out there, they got on scene. The supervisor with us. So got the window open to where you could start treating him. Started getting the tools out. You know, we just had the hydraulic ones, started hooking those up. Of course, it's a pain in the ass to get started, all that shit, you know.
Right.
But we got the door popped to where they could start treating him because the car had become mangled. You know, his legs were trapped in the dash. So we needed to do a dash lift, but the garbage truck was essentially blocking that. The brakes were also locked up. So we tried hooking up a winch to try to pull them apart. You know, that was like trying to pull a garbage truck, and it was muddy. Eventually, like more cops arrive on scene, like a bunch of people arrived on scene. Like it felt like the whole city was there.
Right.
Other than the chief. The chief did not show up. So me and this one other firefighter are working. In the back of my mind too, I'm thinking like, you know, he's on the way.
Right.
You know, our station wasn't that big. You know, it was like an office about this sized and then 3 apparatus bay. I don't know. I still don't know. But,
shit.
But anyways, someone eventually, they worked the brake lines. We were able to separate them, did a dash lift. Now, thankfully, too, I had put on a class for our volunteers for vehicle extrication. I really dove into it. I kind of taught myself a lot of stuff.
Right.
Because when I was going through the academy, I think I missed the vehicle extrication day. And so I was very big on like learn vehicle extrication. And we had a junkyard, which was great. And also a lot of old cop cars to cut up. So it just kind of worked out to where, you know, it took us about an hour to get him out. You know, we life flighted him. That was when the chief showed up, was when we were getting on the bird. And like, he comes up to me and he was like, what happened? You know? And I'm like,
where the fuck you been?
Exactly. And he essentially made me feel like I had failed. And so I had this, and then right after that, you know, we go back to work. He left us. He went to like the hospital where, you know, they had everybody going and stuff. And me and the rookie are running calls. I think we had a cardiac arrest later, you know, and then, you know, this was at, you know, the beginning of the shift. So we still had a whole shift doing all that. And then I go to coach. And so, sorry, memories kind of flowing through.
You're good, brother. Take your time.
Yeah, so I went to coach and I just couldn't.
Yeah, man.
I had a good buddy, Brandon, who also worked in EMS. And, you know, I was trying to get guys through the warm up and everything, but I just, you know, I couldn't think. And he kind of knew what had happened. And I asked him if he could take over. And I went home. And my son had pretty much just been born.
Yeah.
During this. Let's see. I think that wreck happened in December. My son was born in August. And that was kind of to me, that was the last straw to where like something needed to be done. Because this guy, he'd overfilled the SCBA cylinders. There was one time me and the rookie were checking them and the little relief valve blew and I was like, what the hell? And then checked another one, same thing happened. Then I realized we had the 2216 bottles, filled them up to like 4,000. And, you know, that's killed guys before.
So for people who don't understand what you're talking about, you said SBA bottles?
Yeah, so our air packs, SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, cylinder. We have different sized ones.
Right.
So if you overfill the cylinder, it might explode.
Right.
It's killed people before. That's why when you fill them, they have a whole little thing that you put the bottle in as it fills up to stay protected and stuff. And we were, you know, checking our air packs and all of them had been overfilled. And he was like, he'd been there way longer than me. We'd never had the 4,500 bottles.
Right.
And so it was just like, where did this come from kind of thing. And then my biggest issue was that he told me one time, I was trying to go over pump ops and friction loss. Because he told me one time, because the nozzles we had were rated for 100 psi. And so he told me, if you do anything over 100 psi, you're just putting a bunch of back pressure on that nozzleman. And I was like, no, you got to get 100 psi to the nozzle.
Yeah.
You got to accommodate for friction loss. Well, he didn't agree with that. And he told me sometimes the volunteers would ask for more pressure and he'd just pretend to turn it up. And I was on a fire one time. It was a mobile house fire, and I'm trying to test the nozzle, and there's like nothing come out. We'd extended our pre-connects from 150 to 200, and he was running the pump, and I was like, hey, turn it up. And he goes to pump, and then he comes back, same thing. And I'm like, he just did it to me, and I'm like, he's going to get somebody killed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything personal kind of thing. And then on top of that, he was sexually harassing the female firefighter, which I won't go into all of that, but I was trying to support her too. And so, yeah, we went to the city manager, eventually complained. Everyone was kind of confused. They were like, we thought things were great at the fire department. And I'm like, yeah, it's us.
Yeah.
And that's my wife would be pissed sometimes because I'd be busy working. He'd be like playing on Facebook. And so she'd think that I was just, ignoring her or something.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm running calls. I was also like fixing pumps. I was like the maintenance guy. I was doing like
everything.
I was writing grants. I was doing all kinds of stuff. And then the city manager was obviously clueless to that. And my partner, like she was recording the conversation too. And he basically threatened us. He was some like Air Force colonel too, which just made it worse because he threw that in my face while I'm just sitting there like, okay. And then just got up and left. He was like, you go out the door, you're fired. And it was like, all right. And that was when I had a psychic break. I couldn't find my way home.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was wrong. And
just like a wave of emotion took over.
Oh, yeah. And it was just like, I'd driven that. It's not a hard route either. I'd hop on the highway and go, but
hundreds of times
I was like lost in a neighborhood, and I was like, people were calling me too and stuff, and I was like not knowing what's happening. The news somehow found out too, so then they had interviewed the city manager and stuff. They called me, and because it was like, I don't want to talk to the news,
Right.
But it was like they were like, we've talked to him, so it'll look good. And it was just like, okay, so. You can still find the news article on there too. There's a video of it. And,
no shit.
Yeah, they're talking to the city manager, and he makes himself just look horrible for one thing, because he says like, oh yes, so I'm working on these issues, and turns around to a blank computer, and then he's like, and then it's like he messed up.
Yeah.
And it's like he was mad because they weren't taking the complaint seriously, and it was obvious they tried to retaliate. After doing the complaint, because he met with the chief, and then the chief came back to me and said like it didn't work, and I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, and he thought I was gunning for his job kind of thing, and I was like, dude, I don't want to be a chief. At the time I was like 20 something years old.
Right.
Like I was like, I want to be a firefighter, but I don't get to be one right now.
Right, because you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. And that's what it basically boiled down to. And then he tried to retaliate by saying like I'd started a gym up there and stuff for him, and he told me to take the gym equipment. It's like, I helped you squat 315 and you were just bragging on me the other day.
Right.
Like, what's wrong?
Right.
I was trying to just move on and keep things professional still, but it was obvious that it just
his ego couldn't handle it.
It wasn't going to work out, and but then it just got way worse. I even reached out to him because he posted on Facebook that night like all alone, and I was like, I texted him like, hey, I'm going to come in early probably if you want to work out. We can talk about things. Nope. But, I still kind of have questions about that. And it sucked because, you join the fire service, you look up to the chief and kind of a mentor kind of thing. And then you're kind of like, wait a second, like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And, and that's why, they basically before all that, they didn't have someone like me. It was just like kind of kids running through. And,
right.
And so I was like, in good conscience, I could not leave that department and then see like firefighter so-and-so dies, because everyone would be like, oh, poor fire. And I'd be like, I know why.
Right.
Not necessarily, but
right. There's
more
clues
to the story a lot of times. Yeah. And so anyway, so that happened. I got quickly rehired by another department.
Real quick, did that police officer make it?
Yes, he did.
Oh, thank God.
I'm sorry.
No,
Yes.
you're good. You're good.
No, and I actually, I didn't get to link up with him, but I've talked to him. He's actually was one of our athletes with Operation Antifragile.
Love it.
Sent him a mace, and a few other things to help with sleep. Because that's the thing too, is like, and I'm sure he's got a TBI. He was in a horrible freaking wreck and probably hasn't been treated for it.
Oh, agreed.
You know, but he came out, he went back on the job and stuff. I haven't gotten to meet up with him. I think, you know, I got to meet up with the firefighter, he's with Oklahoma City now.
Oh, good.
That was cool. Just because, you know, we talk still, but hadn't gotten to see him basically, because that was the other thing was what's happened to me a lot of just kind of done.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Marine Corps, done, out, fire service, done. Like, it's like I wasn't ready to get out. And so it was like this whole like
mental battle for sure.
Yeah. And especially because I was doing a lot of great things. And then that's why like a lot of people went to that city manager and were like, why the hell did you fire him? Like,
right.
You know, and they told me like the secretary said their phones were blowing up because all these Marines were calling basically too, which was nice.
Hell yeah.
You know, and that's what I love about, you know, that's some true brotherhood
for
too.
sure.
It's like, it's just like meeting up with my buddy Irk last night. It's like no time passes when we meet up.
Man.
It's always cool.
That's the thing about good friendships, right? You have that solid rock solid foundation in friendship. It could be a year, 2 years, and you pick up right where you left off.
Yep.
True brothers right there, brother.
Yeah. And, but yeah, so, where was I? So yeah, they were calling and I got, and yeah, that night was horrible for one thing. Thankfully my good friend Mike came over and helped me kind of calm down. Cause I had my son was just a baby at the time. My wife's freaking out. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know what the hell to do. And he was at dinner with his family and he, you know, stopped what he was doing, came over, hung out with me, helped me chill out. He's actually the veteran that's I was telling you about our in-person retreat we're about to start. He's the veteran that's going to come do that. So
love it.
Again, to kind of pay it back some for
Hell
him.
yeah, brother.
But yeah, so I got quickly rehired by another department. But in between that time, I went to the VA. And I'm trying to remember when the first time I went, I was having like a panic attack. And they were like, they took my blood pressure. It was like, I don't remember what it was, but it was high, and just not good. I was a mess. They gave me some sort of like low dose anxiety thing, and they told me I could still drink with it. And I was kind of like, that's now with, again, knowing what I know, I'm like, that's a really poor advice to give someone.
Right,
like, here's some anxiety meds. You can still drink with it. Like, probably not something you should tell a combat veteran that's dealing with this stuff. But anyways, and I'm trying to think of what okay. So then what brought me to where things were a lot worse. I was seeing my private counselor, and I got an email for like active shooter training, and something that while I was waiting for her to show up, that popped in my head that someone was after my family. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm not protecting my family. I'm out here getting help. Oh no, like I fucked up. They tricked me. My family's in trouble. So I call my wife and I'm like telling her to get to the fire station that's down the road from us, freaking out. And she's like, Matt, you're being crazy. Like, I don't need to go to the fire station. I'm not going to go to the fire station. And, and I'm like yelling. Like, I remember it like a sonic boom of like, go to the station now. And one of the guys that worked there like came out and was kind of like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, I got an appointment, but she's late, you know? And then she came flying in not long after that because he called her up and was like, you need to get here. And, you know, I feel sorry for her too, because honestly, just a lot of people don't know how to deal with combat veterans when they're like that.
Right.
And yeah, I was a mess. I was all over the place. And then she was confused because I was like I had an organization, Leadership Under Fire. I don't know if y'all are familiar with them. Good organization, but I had served with some of the guys that are with them, and they had contacted me. So, and they were like with FDNY. And so when I was talking to her, I just said like, you know, FDNY, and then she's like, Matt, you sound so crazy. I'm like, New York Fire Department, you know, like she's like, you're saying all these acronyms, and I was just like,
That's all it is. The military's all acronyms.
Yeah.
And fire services, you use acronyms.
And so,
like,
and that's why some people think, oh my God, he's crazy. And it's like, no, I'm just like saying an acronym.
Yeah.
But I definitely, I was a mess still, but it just kind of makes it hard to treat.
Right.
And so she was like, you need to go to the VA. My dad picked me up. I went to the VA. And that was when I first saw some of their mental health professionals. And that was when it kind of started with everything I had going on of them starting the diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenic. Because I was like happy because my son had just been born. I got quickly rehired. So I was kind of like, things will be okay. But I'm also dealing with all this stuff. And how that turned into, okay, you're bipolar or something. I don't know what, but that's what they did. And so I tried. I was like, all right, I guess I got to take these meds and stuff. And in between this, I'd gotten hired, was doing the interview stuff and everything. And I started out there. And then this part I won't go into too much because honestly, some of it I still just am kind of blank on. I don't know what was real and what wasn't.
Right.
Some of it too. My buddy told me they found me shirtless in the fire engine at one point in time, and I'm like, I don't remember that at all.
No shit.
And so I had worked one shift, and everything was pretty normal. I was gonna be a driver, because it was a combination as well. But their full-time staff was mainly like drivers and the officers, so they were like, we can hire you as a driver. It was an obvious case of bullshit basically, and, and so. Worked a normal shift. Everything was kind of, fine kind of thing. I was still in rookie mode. It was weird to kind of like transition back to that.
Right.
And especially because they were like, hey, you're not a rookie, you're a driver. And it's just like, this is weird. Like,
Wait, you feel like you have to earn your keep.
yeah,
right?
you do.
Yeah.
You do.
Right.
And so, but then they called me back out. And, my son, again, like he had really bad reflux. We weren't really sleeping. I wasn't sleeping anyways.
Right.
Then they called me out early for a 48. They had a fire. Something was messed up with like the paperwork or something. And then there was just a lot of weird stuff going on that I still am not sure what was real, what wasn't. But that's when like I was very much stuck in my fight or flight. And these guys could tell. And they there was a call we ran where like they were crying because they, and I think it's because they saw me just working. But they were like, this poor guy is just like a robot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like doing stuff and don't know. And then you can tell when my stuff kicks in too. I like go into like a robot repeat mode and I'll tell these stories like the exact same everything. And so they could see that happening to me. And I was eventually, I don't think they knew, maybe they were trying to mess with me at first, then realized like, oh shit, like I don't know still. But yeah, I got eventually that night I told my captain like, hey, the VA put me on psych meds. It's messing up my brain chemistry. I don't know what's going on. I need to go to the hospital. And he was like, all right, go to the hospital. And so, I left, I tried to drive, but I couldn't because I think from the contractor stuff, I thought like SUVs were contractors or something. Right. They were following me. Didn't know who was friend or foe. I didn't know what was going on. And I pulled over, called the Veterans Crisis Line. They eventually told me to call 911. So when I called 911, I got that department. They did their own dispatch, and they were eventually like, is this Matt? And I was like, oh, yeah. Hey,
guys.
Like, what's up? It's me again. They're like, so they came out, put me in the ambulance. And I felt calm in the ambulance.
Yeah.
It was like
kind of safe maybe.
Yeah. And it was like, and the thing is I tried so hard to be a firefighter too. And then I finally got hired at this small department and then it was like taken away from me kind of thing. And, and honestly, a lot of my mindset, I look back now and I realize, man, it's like, I should have been more focused, not on being a firefighter again, but just fixing myself, being a dad, being a husband.
Right, man. But look at all you went through, right? And if you never really properly dealt with it, it's probably near impossible to do that.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of part of my personality too. I very much have like a servant's heart kind of thing. And that's why I love the fire service. It's like I get to help people and cook food and work out. I was like, this sounds pretty good to me.
Best job ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of what I'm doing now, only it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Less trauma.
Way less trauma.
But yeah, I called the Veterans Crisis Line, called 911. They came out there. I wanted them to take me to the VA, but it was like a couple hours away. So I think they were trying to essentially saved me a nasty bill by they had my mom come pick me up.
Okay.
So she drove out there, got me, and as she's driving, this is when I stopped talking on her little speaker on the car. It said no audio. And so I thought someone's telling me stop talking. So I stopped talking. And, of course my mom, everyone's just like, what the hell's wrong with Matt kind of thing. And I'm just thinking like, I'm not allowed to talk. So I'm still kind of doing, I'm still out of it, of course, but my mom's freaked out. We eventually get back home and I see something. I still don't quite remember it, but I saw something that told me to like, look at like older things or antique things or something ancient, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really remember exactly what. But I went into one of their closets, and started like clearing it out. Like it's like this kind of guest room that they had. Shut the door, started like looking for stuff. It was like a puzzle kind of thing. I was like finding like old board games, whatever, old books. I found this old box, pulled the old box out. There's my Glock that the VA told my dad to take from me. And so I'm like thinking, oh no, like they want me to do some sort of mission or something. And I'm like, I don't want to do a mission. And, I was like, I just want to be a firefighter. Like, I don't want to do this. And that's basically where my mind went. And then after that, I basically cried myself to sleep, woke up, and my dad took me to the VA. And that's when I was still stuck in that kind of, I think, contractor mode more.
Yeah.
And because as my dad was pulling up to the VA, like I got out. Something told me like to get out. I don't remember, different triggers, thinking I see someone that's giving me a sign to do something.
Right.
And so my dad's freaked the hell out. Hold on, I'm not I'm just, boom, going.
Out the door.
Yeah, going. And that's when, I had my gym bag with me, and my dad was like parking, I guess. I'm kind of following people around. And now, I don't know, so... I asked some guys about this later on too. So I was following people in certain shirts. I totally forgot about telling y'all about the vet centers. I got a lot of stories, but yeah. So I get to the VA, and I got my gym bag and following people around. And basically, if they were in like a green shirt, I'd follow them.
Okay.
Orange or red, bad.
Yeah.
And that's something they'll do sometimes when there's a threat like that going on. From what I've been told, I still don't know if that's exact, but that's what was happening. And I heard someone say like, yeah, he really dropped the ball or dropped the bag. So it made me drop my gym bag. And then I was still wandering around, following people and stuff. And my dad found me, and he said the police were looking for me, thinking I'd like left a bomb, something like that. And I'm not talking still, but I'm like, no, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm worried because I think there's possibly a mission going on that someone maybe did or something. And I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. And I eventually, ended up going to the mental health floor, was talking to the people back there, talking sort of, hand and arm signal with them, asking me questions and stuff, writing things down. I eventually go up to the psych ward, and that's where I have a lot of trauma.
Fuck, man.
And, cause I got there, and, I still remember just sitting down when I first got in, and I'm in, purple scrubs, and they're all calling me Barney.
They were calling you Barney?
Yeah. They were like, Barney finally got up here. Barney finally made it.
Now, was this actually being said to you, or is this something that you thought?
Yeah. No,
shit.
it was being said to me.
Motherfuckers.
And, eventually, I'm still kind of hiding. I still don't really know what's going on. I think that I'm going to get extracted from there, like get on a helo or something.
Right.
So I go down to where my room is, I guess. It's bits and pieces. I don't know if they showed me or what, but I like hid in the shower, and all that's coming out is like this little drip of like cold water. And I'm naked in there, just laying, on the floor. Eventually someone checked on me, and they're kind of like, shit, what's wrong with this dude kind of thing. And one guy did, he was like, hey man, it'll be okay. I've been there too. It was the other veterans in there.
Yeah.
There was a couple good nurses, but, there were some bad ones too. And, one of the biggest memories I have is just, you were talking about when you were shot, thinking of your son. And that's all I was thinking of.
Yeah.
You know, I was sitting there on the floor thinking my life was over. And nobody helping me. I'm kind of poking fun at me. It was eventually some other, probably a Vietnam vet, came and helped me up, talked to me. And yeah, I was in there for 10 days. And they just really messed with my head in there. And I I was messed up at first, some of it from the psych meds, you know, a lot of it from the psych meds.
Oh, yeah.
All of it, possibly. But like, you know, I had some of my stuff that they knew was my stuff. I had because I was having all these side effects from the meds that I told them about too. Like I literally shit myself twice, and I called them like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like my vision was getting blurred too. And they just said, just keep taking the meds, you know, it'll be okay. And, but yeah, so in there for 10 days, trying to figure out how to get out, how to get help. And you're not really getting seen. You might have an appointment at like 9 o'clock that day, and then doctor will see you in 2 days. So it's like, all right, sit in here.
Fuck.
No, they wouldn't let me. They had a better shower. They wouldn't let me use it for some reason. And like I told you, like there was some dude that was like, okay, you're going to be a big boy, have your toothbrush. They take my toothbrush from me. Like it was, you know, just degrading. And there were guys in there that were like trying to call their congressmen and stuff. Just people were like, this isn't right. Like, and we were doing some meeting too, where I was like trying to figure out how to get out of there. And it was like an AA meeting. And I was like, okay, I'm an alcoholic. Can I go now? And they're like, well, I thought you weren't an alcoholic. I was like, well, I'm not. Like, I've had moments of like heavy drinking, but I'm not. Like, and they're like, okay. And then like someone was like, man, this poor guy, like he doesn't know what to say or what to do. And that's why it's like, what do y'all want? And I think I told you earlier about, you know, they'd mess with, I'd try to figure out how to get out. That dude, he'd jingle his keys, and I'd think that was a sign to get out. I'd go to him, and they'd be like, this guy's like a dog. So they did a lot of just, but then once they, so, and I told you, that's why it's hard. I've been telling a lot of people about this stuff here lately, but there was a nurse that we still, you know, my family feels like was an angel or something, because she told my family, like, she could see what they were doing to me in there, and they were trying to have me committed, and they needed to get me out, like, ASAP.
The nurse said that to your family.
Yeah.
How fucked up is our VA system?
Yeah.
You literally have men who put their fucking lives on the line for our country, and this is how we treat our veterans, our combat veterans.
Yeah. And what's sad is I'm certainly not the only one.
Yeah.
I know there's a bunch of, when I was at the brain clinic earlier this year, there was a woman told me about another vet. Like, I pulled the fire alarm at one point because I was like, I guess this is how they get them to pay attention to me. That's another kind of a funny part of the story, although my wife doesn't think it's funny. But I laugh about some of this stuff sometimes.
You have to. You're gonna fucking
exactly. Like,
you have to laugh.
Yeah, but it was maybe the second day, and it was just like some of the guys were like, yeah, they won't pay attention to you unless you run through the halls naked. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's what I have to do. So I'm still thinking this is like, I'm going to get extracted. Okay, I got to do these extreme things. Then they'll be like, okay, you did it. We'll extract you now. So I ran down the hallways naked, came back. And then one of the nurses came down. They were like, did you just run down the hallway naked? Because I was like in there, yeah. And then she was like, did they tell you to do that? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, don't do that again. Like, so I didn't get extracted. Yeah. But yeah, they like, you know, I'm really into like herbal teas and stuff. Like, my family would try to send them to me. They'd put them in like the glass window and not let me have them. They took like a hat that I had in my glasses. They knew were mine. And, you know, I'm thinking like, you know, I'm freaked out. I'm like, they're asking me and I'm like, I don't know. And so the guy has my hat and glasses, and he's like, okay, I'm going to throw them away. And I was like, threw them in the trash. So they would like throw them in the trash. And it's like, you guys know it's me, and you're still throwing it away. You know that I'm the one that's messed up right now.
Just to be fucking dicks.
Yeah. And again, like, I don't know. I got a lot of questions for people in there, but I had so much going on when I got out of there. Finally, it was, just get me the hell out of there. And that led to a whole other problem where after that, I didn't know where to go. And I had, God, what was it? I don't know what sparked this incident, but I started wandering my neighborhood, shirtless, board shorts, just in a daze. Wandered down to the Buddhist temple I attended. The Reverend answered, and she's like, "Oh shit!" They knew they had helped me some. At first, a lot of people didn't know.
Right.
They were like, because I did a lot of their maintenance stuff there. I'd help them mow as well. And so they were, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, go do it." And then eventually they were like, "Oh shit, something's wrong with him." And
Right.
like I didn't know how to say no, basically, and and get help. And eventually they talked to me though. But anyways, so I showed up there, and she could tell I was in crisis and just out of it. I'm sure very worried about me. But yeah, she said like I look like a surfer. I still remember it very well. And I was like, "Yeah, surfer." And then I wandered off. Went down to, I guess it was I-44. I remember like giving a homeless dude my shirt and just started walking. And I eventually walked to the vet center where I had been a little bit before.
Right.
And they gave me a shirt, threw it on and stuff. My dad and the Reverend came, and went to the VA again. And this was, again, where it's kind of like, I don't want to go back in the psych ward.
No, absolutely not.
And
especially after the experience that you just had.
yeah. And so, but I went to the ER, and they probably kind of knew who I was. I don't know. But, I'm asking for help, and they're like, "Are you homicidal or suicidal?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, sorry, we can't help you, Mr. Spaid." And it's like, it's like, why can't you still get help even though you're not homicidal or suicidal? And it's like, well, I am now. Like,
right. Right.
But again, they're not treating the problem very well at all, and then turning guys away. And again, I know I'm not the only one with that kind of a problem, and I just don't understand. We're failing
hard,
big time,
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get out of the military, fucking failing.
Yeah.
And then the aftercare, fucking failing. Like, what are we doing in this country? We're spending millions and millions of dollars on bull fucking shit, and we can't take care of the men and women we send into combat. Like, this is just fucking asinine.
Well, and that's, again, why I've kind of started Operation Antifragile. I was like, this is something, it's also proactive what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get to where, when guys first get out, hey, do these things, do the strength training, the breath work, the mobility work, eat the right foods.
Right, man. So let's go into OAF.
Okay.
Now, how did that start to transpire?
Ooh, that's another long story. I'll try to give you the short version, I guess. Because, this is after all the Camp Hope, and then so I'm working at another department now down in Texas, and I had, my strength training was my therapy. I haven't gone into all my Camp Hope stuff too, but that was a huge part of me getting better.
Do you want to touch on Camp Hope quick, or
should we do that first?
Yeah, let's touch on it.
That's kind of the next transition to it.
Yeah,
so.
let's
take a quick break.
Chapter.
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and then we'll pick up with Camp Hope, and then we'll transition to OAF.
Cool. Sounds good.
Talk about Camp Hope.
Okay, so got out of the VA hospital, still didn't really know what to do. Thankfully, I had an aunt in Houston had heard of Camp Hope. Family drove me down there. I'm still very out of it. When I show up there, I'm still kind of like not talking. I show up and I think like everybody there is like a contractor or something too. I still kind of have this feeling like, okay, I got to do a mission or something. I don't want to. I don't know what they're doing. And then I think that I'm like the principal, so they're protecting me, and I need to get somewhere safe. So I go into the bathroom when I first get there, dude, and just kind of am waiting. And eventually some dude comes up and he's like, "Hey, dude, you want a steak?" And so then I came out of the bathroom. That was like a tradition then of like cooking the new guy a steak. They didn't have a bed for me at the time. I was just kind of on the couch, but it was essentially when I got there, it was like, when was that? Like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. And it's basically just they had a couple houses. You stayed there. They took you to like the YMCA, had some different programs and stuff, but it was essentially a safe place for me to get off the psych meds. I got like horrible migraines from it during it, and just at least, if I do start to go crazy or something, I'm in a safe environment,
right? Which doesn't, massive amounts of things for you, right? Because feeling safe is huge.
Yeah. And especially just, again, being around the other veterans and whatnot. I almost left actually because I was dealing with more firefighter stuff. I was like, I need to talk to a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, these guys don't understand what I'm talking about when I talk about friction loss and pump ops and all this other stuff. And so thankfully there was a retired HFD guy He was also an Army medic, and stayed with him and his family for a little bit. Got to talk to him. That helped me a ton. That peer support is just huge.
Huge.
Again, talking to someone that understands, helped validate me that, I did the right thing, that I did a good job and everything too.
Because you need that. Because there's so many times when people will tell you when you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Everyone has no problem telling you when you're doing something wrong. But no one ever tells you when you're actually doing something correctly.
And that was the thing. Like that chief made me feel like I failed by not calling for him. And it's like, I don't know what he would have done anyways,
Right. You should have been there when you said you were going to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, it didn't really matter. But so Camp Hope was great. Started working out, got off the meds, was getting some help. I started coaching again at a CrossFit West Houston, and then also started volunteer firefighting at a Westlake Fire Department in the Houston area. So I started to get, back into the fire service. It was like at the time, we weren't sure if I'd be able to do it because if I heard a siren, I'd go into my autopilot stuff, basically.
Right.
It was like I had certain triggers where it was like, I don't know if I can do this job anymore, but I was able to, got back into it. Very grateful to Westlake too for letting me come on and kind of get back into it. And then, got hired, moved my family down to Houston at first. And then I got hired I had to get some more. In Oklahoma, they didn't have firefighter 2 with my academy, so I had to figure all that stuff out and everything. And eventually got hired, Southeast Texas, Orange Fire Department. It's right on the border of Louisiana, swamp country, basically. And again, it was a smaller department. That's kind of I like the smaller stuff. Maybe it's from the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I just kind of liked, smaller units. I felt like more camaraderie kind of thing. So then we moved out there. And didn't take too long. Then we had a Hurricane Harvey hit us and flooded during that. And so there was like hurricane after hurricane, tropical storm. It was just a lot. But yeah, our house flooded. They said there was going to be like 15 more inches that night, and there ended up being 52 or 53.
Holy shit.
So yeah, it was actually my Kelly day. But I had called, Houston had been hit before, and I was like, you sure you don't want me to come in? And they were like, no, it's okay. We got overtime or whatever, blah, blah. And it's like, obviously shit hit the fan. And I'm kind of glad I was at home at least, though, because it was like 2 a.m. Our house started flooding, I think. And I was able to we have a 2-story, so I was able to get some stuff upstairs and be with my family. Eventually, went around the neighborhood to get some people out because the Cajun Navy showed up and stuff. And, then we ended up getting boated out of our neighborhood.
Did you say the Cajun Navy?
Yeah, they're like a kind of a volunteer.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, it is a thing.
Yeah, that's cool. I was like,
you're like,
never heard
what?
of that.
You've never heard of the Cajun Navy?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like a volunteer
Okay.
kind of thing. Good people. Show up a lot at hurricane stuff, I guess. But yeah, we walked to the station. That's where we lived for a little while until eventually my family evacuated. And Hurricane Harvey was crazy. I mean, that was again and then the amount of water. Like a lot of people saw Houston stuff, but Orange County was really really bad. It just hung out over us for a while.
No shit.
And and then just continued working at the fire department and stuff, and had more shit happen during that. Won't necessarily go into everything with that. It was firefighting. And then getting into the creation of Operation Antifragile, I guess, is where we can kind of now start to go into that.
Yes, sir.
So real quick, I just want to ask one question. So when was it that you actually kind of made your turn? And because I know you said they had you on these psych meds and you felt they were messing you up and you were in the mental ward at the VA. When was it that you kind of had that epiphany and woke up and, really started healing?
It would have been when I was at Camp Hope and got off the meds. And then I started developing my routine, which now is essentially what I've turned into the anti-fragile method kind of thing. I would wake up, do some sort of mindfulness, meditation, some movement, some breath work. I'd always walk down to this garden and meditate and have tea and stuff. And from there, like guys would start coming to me too. They want, hey, can you teach me how to meditate? Can you teach me how to do this stuff? Can you teach me how to work out? You know, all these different things. Because guys would say in like our groups, like, man, I don't know. Like guys saw a change in me. There was one guy that said, like, I don't know what like Matt has, but I want it. And he's figuring shit out basically. And so I guess that was when it kind of changed, just being there. And I'd always kind of, you know, I'd have my setbacks and I'd come back up, setback, come back up. And that's again what I'm trying to get at with Operation Antifragile is where, you know, there's a big talk about resiliency and everything. Resiliency is like getting you back to where you were. I want to get people stronger than that. I want to get to where you're not falling back at all and you're actually now using controlled stresses to help you get stronger and not have these setbacks occur again. Because that's a lot of guys I met at Camp Hope. A lot of them end up going back into those sort of places, if not Camp Hope itself.
Right.
You know, they get out, they're doing better. Something bad happens,
Revert.
Bam, back to it. It's this trauma cycle. So I'm trying to have them break that cycle by, hey, doing these steps and consistently doing it. And then you get your whole system stronger to where it's like these things don't affect you as much. It's kind of like just putting little, like a rock climber or something, you know, putting your safeties in.
Right.
Essentially, where that way, if you do fall, not as far.
Right.
And then, bam, you just come back even stronger. And
so you're trying to give them the tools to keep climbing that mountain.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did OAF start, brother?
Well, so I guess it was now about a year and a half ago. One of my corpsman buddies came out to visit. We had linked up in Galveston. We were all there randomly, not like, I think me and my wife were out there celebrating our anniversary, and a couple of the guys I was in with were in Galveston. We met up, and they had heard I had shared my story on a podcast, Tailboard Talks, and they had heard it, and they were like, man, that was awesome what you did and everything. And the corpsman had kind of like a similar story as well. And then like a year or two later, he came out to visit me. Basically, he was like, you know, I want to come see what you're doing and everything. And he was essentially like, you need to turn this into a program, what you're doing. Like, you know, this could help so many people. And I was kind of like, it's, you know, what I do. And so that was when we decided, okay, let's start this nonprofit. And I was still working as a fire captain then, getting it going. And a big thing that really started it again was like, so I was coaching on the side while I was firefighting, and I'd have buddies reach out to me, whether it was like a physical or a mental injury. And I tried to help them how I could. And then it was like, man, if some of these guys had, you know, I know a lot from my own nerve injury and also being an adaptive athlete trainer and just all these other things I've been through and experiences where it's like, man, you need to, you know, just use this tool. Like I used a mace training. I do a lot of unconventional stuff. The landmine was huge with getting my muscles to fire again. And a lot of these guys, when you get to where you can't do the physical things that you used to be able to do, well, then your mental health deteriorates.
Right.
You know, the two are very much connected.
Oh, absolutely.
Big time. If your physical health is good, your mental health is good. If your mental health is bad, your physical health is bad.
Right.
And so I was helping out these guys. I was sending, I sent this one guy a sled, my buddy Rogers, and he was dealing with a similar nerve injury as me. And the sled was a big part of what I used to help get my strength back because there's no eccentric load, you know, so and my left arm would work so I could use it to kind of do this press.
Right.
Okay, teach this on, like I wouldn't feel it, but it would go. And so, you know, and again, I just kind of knew all these other methods. So he was like, man, you need to help people with this. So, started doing that. It was kind of hard to figure out how to do it exactly.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot to it. You know, I didn't know how nonprofits worked, at all. And you got to do a whole lot of paperwork and giving the government money when you're trying to start a nonprofit too. Like,
makes sense, right?
yeah. And then so many things, it's expensive that you don't really like one of the first things people ask you is like, you know, do you have a website? Even just to fill out some things, you have to have a website for grants and stuff. And it's like, a website's expensive. So I've been having to try to get money for that and everything. And, but anyways, so that's kind of how it started though, is just, I saw a need. And then I had a mental health crisis, when I quit the fire department. So, I'm trying to think of where to start with this. Essentially, so I was helping out my buddy Rogers, sending him sled stuff, getting things going, and then I was building this stuff, and I had a lot of stress going on.
Yeah.
My wife had broken her finger. She was in a cast. I had been struggling since Memorial Day. My former first sergeant is Sergeant Major Ruiz, who's now the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. And he put out a message on Memorial Day talking about how the next big ship was the USS Helmand. Continued to talk about when my buddy Stanley was killed, and it just brought back memories. It sparked something in me. My buddy Rogers, we were talking to each other at the same time. Same thing for him. So we were kind of helping each other out, you know, trying to do what I could to help him. And during all that, I had a coworker who has since apologized, but still basically just went off on me on an online discussion board for our union. I won't go into everything, but he said some very disrespectful things about my service, and it was out of the blue. I'd helped him out tremendously. Helped do a fundraiser for him when he had his issues. Did a lot of like 5Ks with him. Just, you know, I thought we were like brothers, basically.
Felt betrayed, yeah.
And it just kind of came out of nowhere. And it was my son's birthday. I was very angry about it. And there was kind of just a lot of like the firefighter gossip, you know,
right,
all that stuff. I was so sick of it. And that was kind of what started it. I had the union president had called me and said he needed to address some rumors that I was like leaving the union. And I was just like, what? Like, dude, like it was like 3 months ago, I talked to a guy talking about it because I was frustrated more with like international kind of stuff. And I was just like, I just don't know if it's worth it. And then that was it. Like I changed my mind and that was it.
Yeah.
So it was like, why are you having to call me on like my day off, your day off? It's my son's birthday. Like I was fed up with it. And so I was telling guys like, look, if you have a question or an issue with someone, go to them. You know, I'm so sick of just this stuff. And that was when the guy kind of went off.
Bullshit drama. Yeah.
Yes. I was so sick of it. And that's when he went off. And then I tried calling him. He didn't answer his phone. And I'm like, now I'm like in crisis mode. I'm seeing red. I'm furious. I'm thinking of my buddy Stanley and just all this. And I don't sleep at all that night. And I called my battalion chief and I was like, hey man, I can't work with this guy. Like there's an issue like here. We need to deal with this.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, oh, you know, sometimes you got to work with guys you don't like. And so I hung up. I said like, I can do my fucking job, and hung up. And then that night I stayed up all night. Like I couldn't sleep, and I was in my front yard and I had that same feeling like before I went to the hospital and stuff. And I was like, I got to quit. Like, so I sent the secretary an email of thanks for being cool. I quit, and that was about it.
Are you happy with that decision?
I am.
Good.
Yeah, I'm very happy. And I knew it was the right decision so my kids came downstairs the next morning, and I told them I quit, and like their faces just lit up. The whole family was happy. I knew it was the right move. They were getting sick of it. There was always like fire drama stuff going on, you know, and it was also getting to a point now where I was getting sick from the job. Like leading up to that, I'd been off sick, and I was essentially just shitting my brains out. I didn't know what was wrong. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything. I eventually figured it was stress.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was probably the stress.
Yeah, my phone would go off. Lights and tones would basically send a stress response. I'd get stomach cramps, whatever, and then then I go to Alaska. There's a whole other part to my story, but yeah, like if I would make a mistake, I would like burp. I'd have like weird things happening to me that were connected to that. And then, you know, lights and tones would go off. I'd sometimes get shocks of nerve pain. My trigger finger would like twitch and stuff. I was just like, this it's just not good for me anymore.
Right.
You know, it's not worth it.
It's wreaking havoc on your body.
I got to where so part of my sleep problems, my wife noticed, and I've already known this, but my eyes like don't shut for a long time. It'll be like 5 seconds and they start like fluttering open. And she like saw me, especially when I get more stressed. And I don't know if it's just from the years of firefighting on top of sleep trauma and all the other stuff. But that's why did I talk earlier about the neurofeedback device?
Yes, with the Marines. Yeah.
And one of the tests they do for Calm is that like you put it on, and you're supposed to close your eyes and it'll read if you've like, and it's like, yeah, I failed that horribly because my eyes just come up and
right.
Part of my sleep problem. So again, I was already kind of like, I had started Operation Antifragile. It was starting to kind of grow, and it was an obvious need for this. And I was like, this makes a lot of sense for me to do. I'm kind of like the right guy for this because I've been through this. I know what works. I know what doesn't. And I'm someone that guys can relate to. And then I've just become kind of like, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all kind of thing, but I've learned a lot over the years.
You experienced it, yeah.
I've read a lot of books while I was firefighting. I listened to a lot of good podcasts, made a lot of good connections, to where it's like I've just kind of figured a lot of stuff out for the mental health crisis, basically. And I was like, man, this program, I was like, this can help so many people. And so I just kind of dove headfirst into this. I was like, I'll quit. We'll figure it out. But within that time, like my chief told, I had a vacation planned. I was going to Alaska to go moose hunting with a couple of my Marine buddies. I was also supposed to go to Montana to check out a retreat spot for Operation Antifragile, a possible one. And that was a more spontaneous thing. My corpsman buddy got a ticket for me for that.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, it was cool. And at first, I was kind of like, this will be good for me, move forward. Not good when you're not sleeping and all my stuff, because then it was like I woke up in Montana before my flight, and like I was getting night sweats real bad too, and I was like just drenched.
Yeah,
like I felt like it looked like I had like pissed all over the bed. Like I told my buddy, like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like your sheets are soaked. You're gonna want to change those. Like,
right.
And anyway, so I'm on the plane from Montana to Anchorage, and that's when I had a mental health crisis on the plane. Essentially, I started having flashbacks, some of it from when I was in the hospital. I saw a little, like, no radio thing. It reminded me of the no audio, and I was just having all these thoughts and images flash through my head, and then from the little tones on the plane and stuff, I was getting shocks of nerve pain, and something in my head was like, hey, you need to tell them to land the plane, basically. So I was like, we need to land the plane, kind of rolling my eyes, but people are kind of like, stewardess, like, and they handled it so well. Like, I'm so grateful for that, because it could have been way worse.
Way worse, right?
Way worse. But they, because again, I do so much mindfulness stuff that when this time when it happened to me, I was so much more aware to where I could like, okay, hold on, what's happening?
Because you're recognizing it, yeah.
And so they came to me, and I was like, look, I don't know what's happening. I'm a Marine veteran, firefighter, PTSD. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. And they let me go to the back. They talked to me. They treated me how I felt the nurses should have.
Oh, 1,000%.
They helped me recognize that I have like a photographic memory. Things were flashing through my head. They calmed me down, and it was, I was so obviously embarrassed and just like, didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, crap, am I going to get arrested now?
Shout out to that crew though, brother. Yeah. Right.
That's it. So I talk about this with my wife too, so this is part of how I have this like operator syndrome stuff, because I wrote this like giant email to them of like super professional, that they should be like commemorated, blah, 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 like,
right.
And yeah, it's like I don't even really remember doing it. It's just this autopilot thing that I did, but they should be
right.
And they did do an awesome job.
What airline was it? You remember?
Alaska Airlines.
I was going to say obviously not Spirit.
Yeah. No, it was Alaska Airlines.
Shout out Alaska Airlines.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
They did a really good job. I want to say, I think one of the stewardess' names was Mary, but now I can't remember. Oh well, I told him I'd remember it forever, so now I feel bad. Anyways, I got a TBI, so that's my excuse.
So anything else about the Alaska? Because I kind of want to dive into, what your guys' program's about. How do you help vets or first responders?
I could go into Alaska more, but I was in crisis, and thankfully I had my Marine buddies.
Yeah.
Because also when we landed, he was moving. So it's like landed on a plane from Alaska and then moving, and I was a mess.
Yeah, man.
They felt for me. They could see it too. I was like crying in the shower. It was just, and then my family's super worried about me too.
Right.
But thankfully I made it back. So here's the part that I need to explain before going into more, because I had to get back. And there's only like 2 flights out of Nome, one at 6 a.m., one at 6 p.m. I took the 6 p.m., hoping I would sleep. Did not sleep. I don't even remember getting off the plane in Houston. Like, people probably think I was drunk.
Right.
But I'm not. And my wife saw me wandering around the escalators. I had like my noise canceling headphones on. I was playing like binaural beats, like trying to like meditate or something, but I'm like, I look like a freaking psycho, I'm sure. And she had a cast on because she'd broken her finger, and she usually cuts my hair, but so she couldn't. My hair was all wild. And then I got 80 pounds of moose meat in a cooler that she's dragging around. I'm trying to take cover behind vehicles or something.
Yeah.
She's having to like yell at me. Everyone's like, what the hell's going on? Like, I only remember bits and pieces of like, I remember going behind cars. Like, she's told me more of this. And yeah. So from there, I went back to Camp Hope again, because at first we thought we'd handle it on my own, but I was eventually like, I went running when I got back the next day and saw the engine wave honk, and I was running like a 9-minute pace. I went from that to running like a 5:50. All of a sudden came to, I'm on the sidewalk sprinting, and I'm just like, how the hell did I get here? Right. And it was, again, just a fight or flight response or something.
Fucking scary, dude.
So I went back to Camp Hope very briefly. There's a whole lot more into that, but this will be forever if I go into everything. Essentially, I was able to get my circadian rhythm was all kinds of jacked up.
Yeah.
And so I was able to go there. I wasn't like, it wasn't as good as last time, basically, but I was there for a week, was able to get a little bit better, and then continue on with trying to get Operation Antifragile going. And then I was trying to get help with the VA after that too. And it was basically, this was the big start of it, of why like this really needs to be here, because it was essentially, all right, we'll put you as an applicant for our PTSD program, appointments in like, it was like a few weeks, do this like group interview thing. And it's kind of like, why do I have to do, it's like, you guys know I have PTSD. Why,
right.
Like, I was in the freaking psych ward. Like,
right. Look at my medical record.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so that, and then, yeah, you're good. And then 2 months later, appointment. Okay. Talking to them. All right. Please, it's not a counseling session. It's not therapy. Just list your traumas, and then appointment in 2 months. So it's like, you sit here, you talk about all your stuff, but you don't get help.
Right.
And then you get off the phone, and it's like, okay. Now, and I had a friend during this time. I don't know all the circumstances of it. But he lived close. It was someone I went to Camp Hope with originally, and he had worked out with me one time. Committed a death by cop. It would have been in my district.
Yeah.
Too, but I'd quit. And I was like, when someone shared it to me, because I just started this, they were like, oh man, if only he knew about Operation Antifragile.
Fuck, bro.
And I saw the picture, and I was like, oh shit, it's Jeremy.
Fuck.
And I was just really glad I did run that call.
Yeah.
But, it made me think, like, what if he did know I was here?
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with him. It'd been years and stuff, but that's what essentially I was doing for myself while I was waiting. It was like, all right, I'm going to do my mental fortitude and breath work. I'm going to strength train. I'm going to do my conditioning. I'm going to do mobility work. I'm also going to do things for my brain health. And then I'm going to eat right. I'm going to talk to someone.
Right.
I'm going to do what I can until I can get that professional help. The problem, though, is sometimes that professional help
takes
forever. And even then, 2 months, talked to them, did the list of trauma, had another one where basically kind of same thing. And then I'm supposed to have an appointment with the psychiatrist, because I'm like, look, I don't have, like, I'm not dealing with, I had trauma, but I was like, I don't know what's going on with, like, my brain, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I go into this weird psychosis thing, and I was like, I don't need meds, like not going down that road.
Right.
But then the appointment I have with this psychiatrist is basically a consultation to try to put me on meds.
Of course.
And even she's irritated because she looks at my history and stuff and hears all my things. And she's like, you don't need psych meds, but still next appointment in 2 months. So at this time, you know, it's been like, I don't know how long since I first called. It was like October, I think, when I first called. And then it was like February or March when I was finally like, whatever. And thankfully, Semper Fi Fund, I connected with them through my good mentor and friend, Chris Pruitt. He's a retired sergeant major. Awesome dude, connected me with them. And they've been extremely helpful as well. Really good organization, Semper Fi and America's Fund. They hooked me up with like counseling, sent me biofeedback and neurofeedback devices. Like it was like treating the brain, because it was like, look, I have these sleep problems, I have these other problems. You know, it's not like where I just need to talk to a therapist kind of thing or something. You know, and then I need to get to the root cause of what's causing me to go into this like weird autopilot thing, and why can't I sleep? You know, those are and my nervous system essentially, and and so they helped me out, and then you know, I started to kind of do better and get better, and it's a lot of it too is service work. You know, I was still like, I got to help these other guys, and helping others helps me.
Right.
You know, my coaching has always been therapy for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I you know, that was something I discovered early on when I first started coaching, because I was like, man, this just seemed to fit me. I feel better, you know, helping people out and stuff. You get that kind of service, and yeah, and now it's really starting to take off and grow. And you know, I've got so many guys that could use something like this.
1,000%. I guarantee Carrie and I can think of guys that could use it as well.
And then again, so a lot, you know, veterans, that's kind of like the main thing I end up talking about, but it's first responders. Like so many of them would come to me individually because I'm a combat vet. So they would feel like it's okay to talk to me. I can have this stuff, but they can't. And it's like, no, like, you know, first responders see all kinds of bad shit.
Right. You lived it.
Yeah. That's why it's like, dude, I did combat too. And it's like, I've seen way worse stuff firefighting.
Yeah, man.
You know, combat's just different, and everyone has a different experience too with it. It's really interesting. That's what I've talked to a bunch of my Marine buddies about. We were talking about it last night though, of how, like, you know, it's like we're in the same place, but just so many different paths essentially and different perspectives.
Right. Well, it's like taking consideration of like the dump truck, or not dump truck, the garbage truck that hit that police officer, right? Your buddy who was T-boned. You didn't get to decompress afterwards. You didn't get to talk about it. You went straight to another call. But that's how first responders operate.
Right.
You never get a chance to decompress. You never get a chance to cope with what you just experienced. It's put it on the back burner, compartmentalize it, and then keep going, because you have to. That's your job.
Yep. And that's what I say. It's like, I think a lot of times it's more difficult compared to military, because you may have ran the worst call in your life, and then you got to go home and be husband, dad, deal with whatever stuff.
Right, man.
And who's going to help you?
I didn't realize.
And if you go to help or go to get help, sometimes your job is threatened.
Yeah,
especially for police
100%.
officers.
Right. So like, I didn't realize how much shit I picked up from my law enforcement career until I got out. And I was actually talking to my buddy Begwitz, who retired, and he said the same thing. He's like, you don't understand it until you're out of it, and then when you're out of it, you see things differently.
You do, and that's it took me a while too. It's almost like a veil comes off.
Yes.
Or veil. Yeah,
I got you.
veal is tasty.
Oh, delicious.
But yeah, it's like you're in this weird 911 world, and you see things so much differently. That's one thing that kind of sucks right now, is I still live where I worked, and I got like reminders just all over the place
all the time.
And that's driving sometimes brings me back. Being in the passenger seat sometimes brings me back. There's just memories everywhere. So.
A bunch of shit will trigger you.
And, you know, you got to live to deal with it, because it's like there's always going to be sirens.
Right.
There's always going to be that kind of stuff. There's going to be radios, you know.
But that's where OAF comes in, right? So
exactly.
So let's, hypothetically speaking, if after my shooting, I reached out to you, how would OAF help treat me, and what are the steps to take? Kind of walk the audience through that.
Yeah, awesome. So basically, go online. We have an application. You fill out the application. It goes to like my email, and then from there, kind of see what all is going on. Schedule like a consultation, usually over the phone or remote or something. If they're local, it can be in person. But again, kind of have conversations, see where you're at and what we can do. So, because some guys, they like, you may have a whole garage gym like I do.
Right.
You may have nothing. You may have a gym you go to. You may have, like for you, it would be a severe injury, and we could also maybe send some things to help you recover. So it's not just gym equipment too. It could be like supplements. We could help you possibly with like peptide therapy. Give you some advice with that, and try to help you out with your sleep. Send sleep supplements. Also hook you up if you need mental health. We have a mental health network that I'm still trying to grow, but I have like a mental health professional company in San Antonio. I'm connecting with one in Canada, like trying to, again, just kind of make all these different networks to where if I don't have something, also with coaches too, I'm trying to, maybe there's a coach in this area that I know that can help you out and train you in person if you need it. But if not, then, we figure out what you need. Essentially try to, okay, if you have equipment, we'll use that. If you need us to send you some, we can send you something to get you started, and then get you on a plan that covers both like the mental fortitude aspect, which is like mindfulness, breath work, and then a strength and conditioning program of some sort. It doesn't have to,
anything crazy.
Exactly. Like I got the guy that messaged me earlier, I was telling you about, that has a similar nerve injury, like sent him some resistance bands, and it's like mobility is basically his strength program because he's dealing with a lot of injuries right now. But something to where you're doing something for your strength, something for your body, something for your aerobic system with the conditioning as well. And then mobility too, because the big thing is getting guys out of pain.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is a lot of guys, they try to go right back to what they used to do. Sometimes that's with the regular barbell, and you can't anymore. It's like, you get pain and stuff. And then that deals with you mentally of like, man, I'm not strong, blah, blah. And it's like, no, dude, like just use some different methods basically.
Right.
And that's, I've had to work around injuries. I'm a big West Side barbell guy. I don't know if y'all are familiar with West
Sounds
Side
familiar.
Barbell. So I use like the conjugate system with my training, where you're kind of changing stuff up. It's not random. It's planned. And again, it kind of goes into the whole, again, I want to emphasize that being anti-fragile, it's not just stress. It's smart and controlled and measurable to where you can see where you're progressing, see if you're regressing.
Right. Because all right. So physical fitness and working out in the gym is going to do wonders for your brain. It's proven. And then you're tracking, and now you're seeing the improvement when you're tracking it. That's two.
No, there's so much research behind it too, that it's like, it's good for mental health. It's good for brain health. And that's what I always try to emphasize is like
1,000%.
Treat mental health like a brain issue. And there's a good book, Dr. Alman, I think it's like this, something brain types. I can't remember the name of it, but again, he's big on like, don't treat mental health just like mental health, treat it like a brain issue as well. Cause that's often what's going on, especially with combat veterans.
Right.
Tons of guys run around with undiagnosed traumatic brain injuries, and then it's getting dealt with as just a mental health issue. And while you can certainly have both, it's going to benefit your mental health if you do good things for your brain, too. And then if you're only treating the mental health, but you're not addressing the brain issue, you're not getting to the root cause of the problem. You're going to have issues come up again.
Right.
So
it's like anything you do in life, right? If you're working out, you have to be consistent, right? You are consistently going, you are consistently lifting, you're consistently eating properly, you're eating the protein that you need for your muscles to grow, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with everything else in life. That's the same thing with your brain health, same thing with your mental health. That you have to be consistent. You have to put in the work. You have to do it.
That's another. So help guys out with their nutrition,
right?
As well. Hey, how are you sleeping? Again, just try to help them out. And just about, does your family need counseling or something? Does your family need help? What can we do to help? And that's where like this guy that's messaging me now too, he's like, the VA's not helping him out. He getting just the runaround, and he's like, man, you're like the one guy that's like helping me out right now.
Right.
And that's a lot of these guys, you know, I felt abandoned when you go to the ER and you're like, help me. And they're like, can't help you. You're not suicidal.
Yeah,
or
you're suicidal. Yeah,
homicidal."
exactly. What the fuck?
Yeah. So, and yeah. And so,
It just shows you how broken our system is.
yeah.
How fucking broken it is.
And again, I think a very good book, again, Operator Syndrome. I read
Okay.
that, Dr. Chris Frew. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly, but great book. That was the book that I read that was really like the aha of like, this is what's wrong with me. And it's also called Firefighter Syndrome because a lot of it has to do with the intermittent sleep. You know, a lot of shift workers deal with similar stuff, but the difference with Operator Syndrome and Firefighter is, you know, like we have this tactical job, there's training behind it, there's the stress, and then there's the brain injury stuff on top of it. And that makes it to where it's this complex cluster. It's not just like PTSD, you know, that's what it's like. PTSD has become like the buzzword. That's the thing of like, oh, PTSD. And now it's turned into a thing too, where you can say you have PTSD and it's just, okay,
right.
everybody has PTSD now
Right.
or something. And it's gotten kind of ridiculous.
Oh, 100%.
And that's some of the problem too. It's taken away from the guys that really need this help. Because yeah, it's just kind of, the resources are overwhelmed too.
Right. Oh, 1,000%.
And that's the other thing that I'm trying to do with Operation Antifragile as well, where it's not just like my program, my stuff. So like if you go to our website, like there's Modern Athlete Strength Systems, you can do their remote program. That's what, like there's a remote program you can do with Operation Antifragile. There's also Lift Lab. It's an app. Great app. It's like a velocity-based training app. Very good for guys to use when they're coming back from like an injury. So it only works for iPhone right now. But essentially you can set up your phone. It'll track your bar speed, your movement mechanics. It'll give you real-time feedback on like how to adjust your weights based on your velocity. And that's a whole other way to train. That's really smart, especially for first responders, because a lot of times, you know, y'all know it's like you're sleep deprived sometimes, and then it's like you can't hit those numbers. Your nervous system is wrecked. So by tracking your speed, you know, usually it's like, man, usually this weight feels lighter. Some of it is your fatigue. So instead of being like, I'm going to use this weight, you can be like, I'm going to keep adding weight until I get below this speed, or I'm going to train at this speed instead. And that's just a whole, because if you're moving the same weight faster, you're still getting stronger.
Yeah.
It's just kind of it's a smart way to train, especially for first responders, that when you got to be mindful of that, because you got to really think like, what are you training for too?
Right.
You know, and that's
100%.
something like I do strongman. And at first, you know, I was trying to like get bigger with it and then just really into it. But then it was like, sometimes I'd be so beat up that it was like hard to put on my bunker pants. I'd have tweaked my back from a heavy deadlift or something. And it's just like,
what am I
gotta
doing?
put my bunker pants on. Like, ow, you know, you gotta be able to get out of, it's like, you gotta be able to get out of bed and be able to move and go 100%, you know, because you could go from just waking up to super intense, like you were talking about with the bombers or the flying stuff.
Yeah, but that too, it's like now you're putting yourself at risk and you're putting other firefighters at risk.
I ask a lot, like, you know, when you first get out of bed, can you do a squat? Can you touch your toes? Like, that's what I can do now. I didn't used to be able to.
Right.
I used to wake up in a lot of aches and pains, but now I made a routine where I get up, I do a quick mobility flow, I do some stuff with bands. Now I'll sometimes grab my mace and clubs. It's gotten to where I call it like coffee mobility. I'll do stuff with my coffee.
Right.
My
I mean, we see you all the time.
board.
You're on the Bosu ball. You're doing that with the mace, and you're drinking coffee. It's fucking impressive.
That's my balance board.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's impressive.
And that's so the foot health. That's the whole other thing too. Super connected to brain health, and balance. It's your whole vestibular system, your feet, your eyes, and the vestibular. That has so much to do with brain health. So I'm big on getting guys to where they're getting out of their shoes too, doing stuff to strengthen their feet.
That's amazing. Now let's talk a little bit about mindfulness and like breath work. So if whoever's listening and they find what you're saying is extremely fascinating, as they should, and it is extremely beneficial, it's been proven to be beneficial.
Oh yeah.
What are some things that people could do to start practicing mindfulness, to start breath work, or to kind of more of like that spiritual path in life?
First thing, make it a habit. Maybe like, you know, even if it's just 30 seconds, where you're doing 30 seconds or even 1 minute of like box breathing. Box breathing is a real simple one for people to do. It's the 4-second inhale, rest, 4-second exhale, rest. And you can change it up too. I'll sometimes do ladder box breathing where I extend it out. But start simple, attach it to a habit that you already do too. So that's part of why I do my coffee mobility. Most people are like, hey, I'm going to drink coffee, attach mobility to that. So now I'm like, if I'm drinking coffee, I like to do mobility. And it can be something as simple as like putting my foot up on the chair and getting my knee behind my butt to hit hip extension.
Yeah.
And then like doing some isometrics and stuff. Can be as simple as that. And when you start at least setting aside these times, so say instead of that, be like, before I have my coffee, I'm going to do 30 seconds of breathing. You know, that's at least a start.
Just to start,
you know,
right.
30 seconds. And then from there, what's very important, what I always address with breathwork too, are the proper breathing mechanics. So you do need to try and make sure that you're also trying to engage the diaphragm, breathe through the belly, because that's a whole other thing. Like if you're doing box breathing, but you're doing a lot of chest breathing, then you're not engaging that diaphragm. It's not stimulating the vagus nerve. It's not getting that parasympathetic nervous system to kick in. So yeah, I get, and it doesn't have to be like mindfulness too, meditation. Everyone thinks that it's like,
yes.
Oh no, you disturbed me, and I was about to achieve enlightenment. Like, that's not how it works. You set aside time to try, be quiet and not be bothered by distractions. But it's basically, if a distraction comes up, you're just aware of it and you let it pass and not affect you, and focus back on the breath.
Because you're not your thoughts.
No, the Buddhists call it monkey mind. Mm-hmm. Your mind is never resting.
Right.
And that's why you focus it on the breath. And that's what people say, like, oh, I tried to meditate and I just couldn't do it. And it's like, well, you're not going to stop thinking.
Yes.
But as you do it more, so now at the end of a lot of my sessions, I have people do what I call like HRV breathing. It's where you breathe at the resonance rate. So it's like 6-second inhale, 6-second exhale. That is also very key if you want to improve your HRV numbers, which is very directly heart rate variability. Very directly related to your nervous system health and just overall health.
Right.
That breathe, as you inhale, the heart rate is supposed to increase. As you exhale, decreases. And so a lot of people, if they're doing the shallow, irregular breathing, messes up your heart rate rhythm, throws off your HRV, throws off your nervous system, because inhale is also sympathetic, exhale parasympathetic.
Right. So if you are becoming like something activates and you get triggered, right, and you spike. Mm-hmm. What I've learned is 6-second or 4-second inhale and then 8-second exhale. Mm-hmm. That's going to bring down your nervous system. It's going to like kind of get you more towards like a level head, bring you back down to like the, I guess, like quote unquote safe zone. Right.
Yep. So I do it all the time as like panic attacks. People are
right.
That's a lot of it. It's just poor breathing mechanics again. And like I use the O2 trainer. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. It's probably not. So it was developed by Boss Rutan. And it's like a little snorkel.
Okay.
And it's got different sized caps on it. So it's an inspiratory trainer. You can train like your respiratory muscles. I think it's like about 8 pounds of muscles that often goes untrained. And so this is huge for firefighters, especially, it's like, and honestly, it's important for anyone, but it can like cure asthma. It can help with all kinds of stuff. But what it's great for is improving your CO2 tolerance.
Okay.
So I don't know how familiar y'all are with CO2 tolerance stuff, but essentially what people don't understand is that urge to breathe doesn't really have to do with oxygen levels. It has to do with your CO2 tolerance. They're starting to rise in your body, or your brain is going, hey, breathe. Oxygen, balance it out.
Yeah.
And so when you get better at doing these breathing mechanics and building your CO2 tolerance, it's very common for surfers to do, because if like they go under or something, that way you don't get that urge to breathe. A lot of times you have plenty of oxygen. It's just that brain, it isn't used to having that those CO2
your
levels.
brain's going in survival mode.
So you can do, there's a thing called the Bolt test.
Okay.
Very simple and easy. I'm actually doing it this month to see if I can improve my CO2. So you just inhale through your nose, then you exhale it all out, and then you pinch it, and you start a timer. And once you get that urge to breathe again, that's your time. Most people, when they first start, get like around 20 seconds or less.
Right, because you're focused on it, yeah.
And as you start to, you want to get to where it's like 40 seconds and up. That's the better one.
Right.
And you'll start... Again, you're more efficient in your body will get better at circulation. It'll send that good oxygenated blood better. A lot of stuff just improves. And then again, for firefighters, just you're not only going to perform better, but you're not going to be sucking down air as much either.
Right.
There's just, again, lots of benefits to improving the HRV, improving your CO2 levels or CO2 tolerance, and just getting to where you're breathing properly. And that's like they kind of laugh about it. You know, I'll do like breath work classes and be like, I know how to breathe. And it's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
And you can see it when you watch people too. And then you try to get people to engage the diaphragm. And that's a whole other lifting thing too. Another thing when you learn how to do proper breathing mechanics and engage your diaphragm, you can brace and protect the spine properly, which is another huge part that people aren't doing correctly. And that's why I'm big on first responders doing strongman style stuff to learn that and lifting in awkward positions and stuff.
Core strength, extremely important.
Yeah.
Extremely important. Because like when you are deadlifting, when you are squatting, you need to have a strong core or you're going to fuck up your back.
Yep. And then again, so police officers too, weight vest.
Yeah.
SCBA, all this stuff. So it's restricting. So this is like your accessory muscles here, but most people are chest breathers. And so when you can't do that, then it's even harder for you to breathe. You get more out of breath, but if you know how to really engage the diaphragm, you're going to get better breaths, better oxygen, and also just get to where you can access. So like if I'm pinned somewhere, I know how to breathe into my side here. Yeah. I'm not restricted down here.
Right.
It's like you can breathe here, but people have forgotten it. Like around the age of 5,
you stop belly breathing.
Yep. You start kind of seeing adults stand tall. You know, there's a whole hierarchy of kids of like, I am taller, so I outrank you, basically. So they start kind of stand up. Superheroes are all like this, and you get that kind of muscle amnesia, if you will. But you can relearn it. You can do exercises to start to train it. You can do, there's a great book called Breathing for Warriors. Learned a lot in that book where you can get like your breath IQ. Essentially, you take like measurements of your diaphragm, see if you're a more vertical or horizontal breather.
Yeah.
And then just being aware of it. So I just like, hopefully people listening to this will just kind of have these little, I am breathing with my chest. And then you start kind of, okay. And it's like, it's again, just society kind of like better suck in.
Right.
You know, so.
And awareness is huge. I mean, and that translates to everything.
Yeah.
It really does. Mental health, all that stuff. But
I'm just really good at not being able to breathe, period.
Well, so you mentioned asthma. Carrie has asthma. That's why I looked over at him. I was like,
do you have asthma?
We could fucking cure you, bro.
Since I was a kid.
So get an O2 trainer.
Yeah,
Like it's so I first started using it. It was a power athlete had a coach collective and we got one for that. And the first time I used it, and they said this, so like, so it's very important how you need to watch the video when you get it too, because again, proper breathing mechanics. Because if you're using it without proper breathing mechanics, you're just reinforcing bad habits and not really going to benefit that much from it. It's just going to be kind of hard to breathe. But what you do is you bend down and breathe up. It really engages the diaphragm, focus on that, and breathe in all the way. Like I work on my son with it as well. And one of the common things that he'll do is he won't fill up like you. I'm talking just all the way, fill up all as much as you can. And then you let it all out as much as you can. Like it'll take, I have mine on 2 now. There's like a 15, I think.
Oh, God.
And so I've done a few times. It just sucks. I do it every morning. And so I'm like, I don't know if I want to do one every morning. Cause I'll like sometimes be like sweating with it, but,
I bet, dude.
But it wakes you up.
Yeah.
Engaging the diaphragm again. So it's a great way to like, I'm drinking.
You're working on the nervous system.
Yeah. And, but yeah, it'll help with asthma, helps with COPD.
Yeah.
But again, it's very important that you're using the proper mechanics. But yeah, when I first started using it, I got back to the fire department. I went running on the treadmill and I was just like, I'm not tired. Like it'll help your stamina like crazy.
Oh,
because again, it's your respiratory muscles. They're muscles.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people like, it's either you outrun your lungs or it's like your lungs outrun your legs.
Yeah.
And so people will like train their legs, but then the lungs fall behind, so it's like if you train both, then you're just going to be, that much better of an athlete, of a tactical professional, because you're also going to be able to keep your head straight. That's why fitness is important, because
I was going to bring that up as well too, is the mental aspect of breath work, the mental aspect of meditation, mindfulness, and then the benefits.
Your decision making skills will be better,
clearer,
and that's what happens too when your heart rate increases and your breath. It gets to where decision making skills go down. Your brain, the cognitive, behavioral, and emotional functions do not work well.
Because you're shifting into you're shifting into fight or flight. Or you're shifting into blackout mode.
Things just aren't going to function. You're going to lose that dexterity, and it's trying to. That's the other reason why a lot of I discovered why firefighters have stomach issues too. It's not just the cooking; it's being stuck in fight or flight. Your digestive enzymes shut down. So a lot of guys have gut issues. It's not all. Sometimes it's drinking beer on the weekends or
for sure.
days off or whatever.
Probably also doesn't help that you scarf your meal down in
that's the other
30
thing.
seconds.
Yeah, but this being in stress and being in fight or flight. So I was talking to my buddy Travis, he's big on Zen. I brought this up before about being in the ladder of green, safe, red, you're in fight or flight, black, you're just blacked out, right? Like it's lights are on, no one's home. You seem calm, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're fucking full on panic mode, right? So that causes havoc, and then that's why people like lash out at their family members or their loved ones is because they're stuck in that.
They're stuck.
You can be in there for a day, or you can be in there for a week, months, or years, and if you don't recognize where you're at, then you're going to stay there, and then that's how you develop all these health problems. Your food's not being digested properly, and then your gut health is massive because that's connected to your immune system. There's so many different things that just connect to each other.
Oh yeah, it is. There's the gut-brain axis.
Yes,
it affects your brain. That's why. So when I went to the brain clinic, they suggested basically I do this blood type diet on top of just other things, just because I have a MTHFR mutation too, and so they needed to. They did a lot of stuff, but. Your gut, again, think about how you feel mentally when your stomach hurts.
Yes.
Like,
day's over.
You don't feel good.
No.
You don't want to work out and stuff. And it's like when your gut health is, and your gut it makes up, I think, like 80% of your immune system. I recently read another book. I think it's called Gut by, I think, Julia Enders, if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
Another good one to check out. But yeah, it makes up a huge part of your immune system. So that's why it's important, to just eat the right foods and everything too that are for you. Diet is not. There's no one size fits all diet.
No,
either. Everybody's kind of has their own individual needs.
Right.
And so you need to find what works for you. And that's why I am kind of a fan of doing like elimination diets.
Yes.
Even like carnivore reset. That was something that I did back in 2020, kind of partially because I was bored. It was COVID going on. I was like, "Oh, see what happens," and I felt great. And that was kind of the start of like a big change in my diet and my gut health.
But even just as simple as like taking out like highly processed foods, cereals.
That's huge.
Like if you look up like on the label and it has like 1,000 different fucking ingredients, there's probably a good chance you shouldn't be putting that in your body. Keep it simple. Be like a caveman. Like meat, veggies, fruit, nuts. That's it.
It's what we were
meant
to
fats.
eat.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's again that all just like you said, it's all connected, and that's why I'm trying to kind of like I have a manual written now, and trying to get it out there, trying to get this program really going because I want this to also be a proactive program. So like when you first join the military or when you first get into a first responder role, hey, here's a little program for you that'll help you out and it'll make it to where you don't just like survive this career, but you thrive in it.
Right.
And when something does happen, because it's going to, that's the other thing.
It's inevitable.
Especially, that's what blows my mind with like, I get it. Like, 'cause that's the other thing too. Like you can't make it to where like, we got to have people that do these jobs.
Right.
So you can't just be like, all right, everybody stop training. No more live fire stuff. People are getting brain injuries, but it's like, we now know things to where we can help and also like get it to where, you can maybe get that inflammation down right away if you take some like exogenous ketones right after or something, doing things like that. Make sure these guys are taking creatine. Creatine is huge for just overall health, but brain health, especially again, firefighters or police officers, to anybody that's sleep deprived. There's research that shows that you take a large dose of creatine after like you haven't gotten much sleep, helps a lot with brain function.
Men and women.
Yes. Oh,
Men and women.
That's
because a lot of women
think they don't need it or something, and it's like, it's in meat.
Yeah,
like creatine's in meat.
Right.
Like it's not, and it's the most studied supplement out there, and most supplements are not worth it usually. But creatine,
you piss them out.
I'd say it definitely is.
Oh, 1,000%. More ways than one. But like muscle and mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's huge.
Oh yeah, and then again, that's why now more people are saying, "Oh, what was her book called? What was her name? Dr. Lyon, maybe? I can't remember." Another good book though talks about like how muscle health is just extremely important for your immune system. It's more than just for lifting things and everything.
Right. But even muscle health helps you out in your older age.
Oh,
They
yeah.
say your
Sarcopenia.
yeah, your lifespan, whatever, it's measured by your grip strength in your legs. Like if you have strong legs, that will carry you through your older age in life.
So, a lot of people get older and they get time to slow down. And I'm like,
No.
hell no. I plan on doing this until I'm
Till the wheels fall off.
Yeah. Until something happens and I'm not here anymore.
Yeah.
Cause that's my goal. I've always had a goal. I wanted to compete in strongman as masters eventually and stuff, and just keep going.
We're looking to like High Rocks. I just learned about it this year.
I haven't looked in. I know about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I got so there was actually a trainer, Rebecca. She was at the Brain Clinic. She's with I think they're called Semper Fi Fund. They have like machine strength also. Not Semper Fi Fund. Semper Fi Fitness. I can't think of it. But Rebecca and her husband Joel.
Okay.
I think Joler Blades on Instagram or something. Really, really good guy. He has a similar nerve injury as well.
Okay.
He had to get surgery on it, but it was interesting because it just came out of nowhere. There's a lot of people ask like what happened, and it's like I was asleep at the fire station and woke up and just like
it wasn't working anymore.
Yeah, and yeah, very frustrating. But yeah. No, where was I going with that?
Well, I tell you what, I love this conversation where we've gone. Let's save this for another show. We do one just on all this. I think we're approaching that mark.
That's why I was
We're at
like,
that
man,
mark.
I was like, I got a lot of rabbit holes and there's a lot going on. So
Oh man, it was a great episode. It really was.
Yeah.
And I know people will be able to hopefully learn something from this and hopefully have another outlet that you can reach out to.
Yeah, exactly. Like reach out, if people have questions.
So
and
if people want to find you, where would they find you? What's your socials? Plug your socials. Walk people through that, brother.
Instagram, it's OAF training, OAF_training. Then I'm Matthew Spaid on Facebook. There's Operation Antifragile on Facebook. There's also Operation Antifragile training. You can go to operationantifragile.com. And yeah, I think that's all of them. We're also on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get better at LinkedIn and stuff.
Are you guys selling shirts at all?
Yeah, we got merch. So you can find it on the website.
Let's
too. Selling shirts, hats. We got hoodies. Also balance boards. I make and sell balance boards. Just started doing that. I'm huge on balance training. That's something that's really, again, changed my overall health, not just like my body, but my brain.
I'm gonna start working on my balance, brother.
Yeah, I'll send you a board.
Oh,
yeah,
let's go.
What else? I think that's it. Though, yeah.
Nice, brother. So, and if anyone wants to donate to the foundation, same website.
You can go to the website as well. And I do want to mention some of the fundraisers we have going. I got one going for Laura. She's a stroke patient, Army veteran. I used to train her grandson, and the family reached out to me. We're really dissatisfied with the care she was getting, and we've been making like tremendous progress with her. She was completely immobile on her left side, couldn't even look left. I do a lot of eye drills and just kind of doing what she can kind of stuff. And now we've got to where like she can stand up, she can move her left leg. You may have seen some of the stuff I posted every now and then. She's just a great lady too. She's fun to talk to. We have a lot of fun. But we got a fundraiser going for that. You can find it. I think I'm trying to get it on our website, but it's taking a while to get things updated on there.
Well,
you can send me a message. You can find it on social media.
What's that?
I said, tell me about
yeah,
it.
Carrie.
Yeah.
I'm struggling too.
And then we got another one for Ted Hartwell. He's a Marine I served with, lost his leg recently in a motorcycle wreck. He was currently working for NASA, helping him out. Sent him some good stuff like resistance bands, massage gun. I have another above-the-knee amputee adaptive athlete that gave me some advice on what he would have wanted, like a handle or water bottle with a handle with the lid on top, or handle on top of the lid. Yeah, I said that all weird. Sent him a mace and stuff because the mace was huge again for like just recovery, and it's also something I'm starting to have Laura use because she can sit in a wheelchair, and when you're doing these pendulums, you're working your spine.
Yeah,
and it's very hard to work those trunk muscles. And then you're working the spine; it's connected to the brain. So hopefully we'll continue to see more progress. But yeah, I got that going on. I also just signed up for a 100K stand-up paddleboard race in Texas. I'm trying to get 100 recurring donors for that. So like even if it's $5, any amount makes a huge difference, and it makes it. We're providing real help for these guys too. We're
Absolutely.
giving them real resources, connecting them with mental health professionals, specialists if they need it, sending them equipment, sending them the supplements that I know work and will help them out. And just trying to be there for them too. That's
Which
one
is
of the biggest
important.
things of just like guys reach out and they're like, I've gotten some just amazing text messages from guys that are like, man, like, thank you. It felt like somebody was here. Like you saved my life. And it's like, holy shit.
Makes it all worth it, man.
Yeah. And it's, again, I think that this can make a huge difference in just not just mental health for veterans and first responders, but I think everyone.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, and that's ultimately, you know, I do like, so the program too, it's essentially open to everyone. And just all of the funds go to Operation Antifragile.
Love
so
it.
you don't have to be a veteran or first responder to do this program.
Love it.
That's just where, so, and that's the other thing. A lot of veterans, first responders, they may not need the financial assistance side
Right.
of it.
need
So then
guidance.
it's like, yeah, you can, you're given, to give back to guys that need it. So that's just another way it works. And yeah, we just started a retreat program. There's a lot going on with it, but, it's good. I'm excited.
Love it, brother.
Thank God I got, this guy, Woody, that's my VP. He's the modern athlete guy. And like, he's been extremely helpful. I'm so glad I have him, with the organization and helping out. And it's just, yeah, trying to make connections. So that's the other, like, if you want to possibly be a coach in the network too, I got an application on there that you can apply for if you're interested in being a board member or something too. I'm trying to connect with more board members and just more volunteers or just whatever. If people are just interested to hit me up and
Love it, brother.
I'll do my best to get back to you.
Love
basically.
it, brother. So much good stuff that you're putting in this world, man. And I know Carrie feels the same way. We appreciate it. We appreciate you filling that void and helping out some fucking people who need it the most. And that's
Right.
the most important thing. And the system's broke, but you're finding a way to help step up and
Not filling
that
the gap.
void. Yes, fill that gap because someone needs to do it. And there's a bunch of great foundations. You're one of them. And I'm honored you came on the show, man. And I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Honored to be here.
Well, you guys, we appreciate you tuning into another episode of Beyond the Dispatch. We appreciate Matt coming in. Just do us a favor, check him out, check out his socials. If you feel inclined to donate, please do. You want one of his 6 shirts, pick it up. If you want to be one of those recurring sponsors, hit him up. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Carrie, you have anything?
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Gary.